Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most Rogues for Heels, the Rogue Heel, coming to you right here live at twitch.tv/rogue_heel. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday afternoon. It's an early stream for me. Getting ready for the holiday season. Almost done for the year. Hope everybody's having a great holiday break. If you're not on break, hope you have a great work week. Let's just start the show. Okay, so we're just gonna do a little quick palate cleanse. I saw this new video by Devin Nash. You know, I'm a fan of Devin. Don't always agree with all his opinions, especially on Elon Musk. But this latest video is titled Elon Musk's Twitter takeover just keeps getting worse. Let's take a listen.
So everybody is asking me to try to make sense of the situation at Twitter, this dumpster fire that's been going on for the last couple of weeks.
Let me turn this light off real quick. It's a little bit too bright.
A professional marketer's perspective, a balanced perspective, as much as I'm capable of doing, because I'm just seeing all of this politics, all of this emotion, this drama. Let's try to get down to the facts and what's actually happening, which is what I think you're here for, starting with Elon stepping down as CEO, or at least running a poll saying, should I step down as CEO? I will abide by the results. 57% say yes, 43% say no. As of yet, as of the time of this filming, he has not stepped down as CEO. Starting with that, I'm just going to give a quick overview. I have not brought out a lot of evidence for this. I'm just going to kind of give my opinions from the advertising world, what I'm seeing advertisers talk about. We're the people that power Twitter. We're the people that run hundreds of thousands of dollars of ads on Twitter. So we're going to give you the kind of that perspective, sort of as genuine as I can from the people that I'm talking to and from what we're doing with our ads. So this whole thing, I think Elon always was intending to find a new CEO. I don't think he ever intended to really run it for the full time. And you can see in November 16th, AP News covered something where Elon already said that he was going to expect to find a new Twitter CEO. So I'm not surprised to see this poll come out and for him to eventually step down. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this, and Elon has mentioned that the difficulty in really stepping down from Twitter is who is going to make it profitable. That is the real problem with Twitter right now, is that it is in debt up to its eyeballs. It is ostracizing advertisers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And there's some really important things for you to know there that you want to stay tuned for. And it's
fault is that
hard to find a CEO who's actually going to turn this over to be profitable. It would have been hard even if it was under Jack Dorsey. It would have been hard no matter what. Twitter is just a hard
Bro, I just don't know how you turn like Twitter around from like what it was. It was barely profitable. I mean, you're probably just better off just making it like a pure, keeping it what it was under Dorsey, moving out of the San Francisco office, which didn't make any sense, and essentially just cutting bait with the staff and just have like a minimal staff coming in, just making sure like you have enough. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. If you want to make Twitter profitable, you need to have a strict terms of service. I'm sorry, advertisers get scared with a lot of this stuff too. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. There's a reason why like these other alt platforms like the Rumbles, the advertisers don't like it because of the fucking crazy shit that's said on those platforms. It's not profitable, and these companies are not gonna, when like people are saying like fucking neo-Nazi shit and white nationalist shit, you know, when Nick Fuentes is on his own fucking. You think Nick Fuentes has like Coca-Cola ads running on his fucking platform? No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, that's just the real world. The normies don't like that shit. Okay, just because you're forever online, with the stuff that people who are forever online, content creators who's aware of it, this stuff doesn't affect, like, this stuff, the normies don't like a lot of the shit that happens online. The power users on Twitter are people like me, who check on it every day, right? Our content creators, and the normies who use it just want to see, like, normal stuff there, like sports, news, all this, like, fucking partisan shit they hate. It bothers the shit out of them. And advertisers cater to the normies because guess what? The normies are the ones who spend the money. So it's not going to be profitable unless you have an incredibly strict TOS. And sorry, like, if you think the right wing is just going to like of this country is just going to buy all this normie stuff, it's not going to do it, because the cultural leaders within the right wing in this country, whether it's the actual political leaders or people like the Ben Shapiro's, the minute Coke does something wrong, they need to jump at it, because their whole business model is you need to be angry at something because it doesn't conform to what we tell you our society needs to conform to. Okay? They do not have a good business model for making money. They can make money themselves, but they are not the majority. They are a very small minority that has a lot of power, okay? And they will never gain the type of institutional power. They have some institutional power, but they don't have the cultural power to like make the sort of substantive institutional changes that they want, even though they continue to get elected into office, they continue to own the means of production, etc., etc. They just don't, because the fucking people like their birth control. They want to have access to abortion. They don't want to marry right out of high school. I'm sorry, they want to work. Women want to work, etc., etc., etc. All these things that are so antagonistic to what the right wants in this country. I am sorry, that's never gonna fucking happen. That's just a fact. Okay, the country's more progressive and more liberal, dare I say, than what the right want, and you can't just like. There's no off switch for that. Rather, okay. So you need to have a strict TOS at Twitter that caters to what the normies want, and the normies do not want what the right want.
Thing to monetize. So I suspect that there was some
don't get fooled by what the right's saying. They're not getting canceled, by the way, too. They get like preferential treatment. If the Twitter files part 1 didn't make that clear, part 2 the Twitter files made that clear too. Like the big right-wing accounts that are on Twitter, they get preferential treatment on their tweets. That's the reason why libs of TikTok hasn't been removed, because of like the severe backlash Twitter would get. They're afraid of like what would happen to like Twitter employees into the building if they got rid of libs of TikTok and whatnot.
Marketing here. I think that when he put that poll up, he knew well that it was going to vote yes, because it's no coincidence that he released one of the most unpopular content moderation policies. So essentially that same day he released this policy that said that they were going to block links, outward links, like you couldn't link out to competing websites like Mastodon. If you talked about those, they might ban your account. And a notable journalist, I think it was Paul Graham, actually got banned for saying, hey, screw Twitter, come on to my Mastodon. That stuff should never happen. And it was a super unpopular move. All of Twitter was talking about it. And then like 6 hours into that, he releases this poll. Of course, everybody like votes no. So I think that, let me start off by saying maybe something that's one of the most interesting things in this video. I think that people really underestimate the power of outrage marketing. I think a lot of what I'm seeing at Twitter is very framed. It's very farmed marketing. It's Elon intentionally making certain moves that are frustrating different sides to garner effect. And if you don't believe me, you need to only look at any like YouTuber or very popular personality that does this. Like drama farming is a technique. It's a skill. It's an art. Okay, it's an art. It's a art that you can do that a lot of people know. And I think Elon is a master. Is a master of outrage marketing to try to get everybody angry, so they start talking about it, so the impressions go up. We are at an.
Devin hit the nail on the head. He's right. Problem is, in my opinion, that's not sustainable. You can't just continuously outrage market your way, because eventually people are like, all right, fuck this, we're gone. There's a gauge for people when it comes down to outrage market they can deal with. Eventually they're gonna be like, yeah, fuck this, we'll eventually just move on to something else. They're going to the left version of the Parler or the Gabs, the Tribals, the Mastodons, whatever. It can only work for so long. Because when the advertisers see that everyone's leaving, they're like, why should we waste money advertising on Twitter?
All-time high in terms of Twitter users. We're at an all-time high in terms of engagement, and I don't think that's an accident. I think that a lot of this is planned. So I think that this whole kind of CEO grift thing is probably intentional marketing. I do think that Elon will step down as CEO eventually when he finds a person that he thinks can do it. Now, you might wonder what I voted. Yes or no for him to step down, as I've been somewhat of a proponent of this like acquisition, and there's been quite a bit of bumpy stuff, and we'll talk about that. But you know, it's like, okay, like you want to buy a company and take it private, that's your right to do, whatever. Hopefully it goes well, and it looks like some of the plans for Twitter involve benefiting content creators, which is something I'm a big fan of as one myself, and as educating a bunch of content creators. So okay, if you step down as CEO, what does that really look like? And I thought that my theory is, and I voted yes, and the reason I voted yes on why Elon should step down as CEO is I just want him to focus on the really big projects that he should be, that I think he ought be focusing on, such as going to Mars and providing electric vehicles for the entire world. Those seem like really good problems, rather than like shit posting on Twitter all day, which just seems like a low quality problem for someone like him to solve. It's like, if you can revolutionize the car market, you can revolutionize how we get to space. Like, work on that and just go back into behind the scenes. Now, there's some ego there that I don't think will let him ever like really get out of the Twitter space. But I'm not the only one that thinks this. There's a lot of people at Tesla who are super concerned that Elon is just like not focusing on Tesla. Tesla's stock is plummeting, and SpaceX is probably not doing that well. That's a private company, so we don't know. But it's clear that Elon's focus is almost entirely on this Twitter company. And look, a town square, a council, a place where this discussion needs to happen. This is important. We need to focus on this. But I just think that this is maybe not the person to do it. He's a technologist, he's an engineer, he is in his best element just building things for humanity, and he's done some really cool stuff like that. And there's more stuff on the horizon, like chips inside of our brains or robots and stuff. Like, all that stuff is kind of sci-fi-y,
terrifying.
but who knows how far it'll go. And as long as Elon is focusing on Twitter, he can't do that stuff as much, and I don't like that, so I voted yes. Now, I also think that Elon is realizing some things from trying to basically be the world's head moderator. And that is that you cannot say anything on the internet without pissing off 50% of the people on the other side of whatever that issue is, especially if you get political. Then you really can't do it in America. America is so divided in terms of left and right that if you say anything that is like, oh, that's too conservative, or that's too left, or that's too right, the other 50% are like, it's like Elon has somehow managed to piss off everybody simultaneously. And I think that was his goal. I think that he intended to piss everybody off because, again, he's driving these users up. So let's go over some of the kind of controversial decisions that he's made that I've been getting asked a lot about. Devin, provide the advertiser perspective. For people that don't know, I run an agency called Nova. We run a lot of Twitter ads. We run hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of ads per year on platforms like this. So I'll just give you our perspective on kind of like what is happening with the space. So the first thing that really surprised me in terms of recent decisions was the unbanning of these high-profile Twitter accounts. He started with Jordan Peterson and Kathy Griffin, later did the Babylon Bee and Donald Trump, Andrew Tate, some of these really controversial figures that even like YouTube or other people have banned. And this surprised me. This surprised me because from an advertiser perspective, this is a super stupid thing to do. Those Twitter profiles, to varying degrees, are super advertiser unfriendly, and those controversial takes are things that make a lot of Fortune 500 brands and a lot of brands like feel unsafe and not want to be a part of the platform. So we've seen a lot of advertising dollars pull away from Twitter, I think, as a result of a lot of these controversial bans. A lot of people will say that like the advertisers are pulling away because of like the job layoffs or the media coverage or whatever. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, the engagement is the engagement and the market is the market. Like, we're happy to advertise on Twitter if there's a ton of people doing it, and the engagement. There's a ton of people. Sorry, we're happy to advertise on Twitter if there's a ton of people to watch it, if there's a ton of people to see it. But when you start unbanning controversial figures, and then simultaneously your your content moderation policy for those figures is like sort of coming to fit their narrative. Like, this sort of idea of a digital town square starts to run into the same problem that platforms like Parler and platforms like Rumble have, which is like, you can post anything you want on this platform. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine. And like, I kind of believe in that from a I think we all sort of like believe in the idea of writing anything we want from a sort of fundamental rights perspective. But from an advertiser perspective, like, man, you can't do that. like as soon as any of that kind of stuff is perceived as really controversial, advertisers will pull away and they'll put their dollars into stuff that's going to guarantee them more safety, because they don't want those emails from people that are saying, hey, I'm not comfortable, I won't buy your brand anymore because I just don't feel like you're representing my best interest by advertising here. That does happen. That does happen to a lot of these high profile brands, and it scares them. It's one of the biggest things you can do as a consumer is you can advertise, you can email brands or agencies like us and say, hey, I'm not comfortable like running these ads. And then if they stop doing it, if enough people stop doing it, it really affects it. So we've seen a lot of ads pull away from Twitter. I don't think it's for the standard reasons. Another reason why a lot of people have pulled ads very recently is the suspension of journalists. This is just a super bad move, and I can only think that this was like, I'm not even going to say this was like the conspiracy for Elon to try to set up to like get the no vote on CEO. I think this was just a dumb move. I don't know what he was thinking here. So this started because the account Elon Jet was tracing his jet around the world and tracking where he would land at airports. All these people would set up there and they would take pictures of him and they would wait for him to come out. Now, I totally get that. It's probably really frustrating to have somebody.
And the majority of people understand that too. Like, you don't want
publishes that data. It's actually public data. I think it's called the ICC code, something like that, where the airplane just has a code, and you can just track it yourself. There's a lot of apps that do it. So this is by no means like Elon called this doxing. I don't think it's doxing really. I think it's like using public data. Now there's some debate, should the FAA be tracking every airline, especially private airlines,
yes.
maybe not, and making that public data. But as far as like doxing goes,
for security reasons, yeah, the FAA. All right, the FAA should actually be tracking all these flights for security reasons. All right. There's a valid security and national security reasons why a government agency should be tracking all these flights. Okay? Maybe you want to limit the access to other government agencies like the FBI, CIA, which would require a warrant to access this stuff, or at least private citizens from like accessing this stuff too. If you want to have that discussion, that would make sense. But like, it's the same thing too with like your address too. Like if you have like a name and you know the state where they're, and the only you had was like a person's first and last name, and let's say the first and last name wasn't like a John Smith or something like unique, right? You knew what the state in which the person lived in. Let's say Texas. Let's say maybe let's say John Smith wasn't like a normal name here in the U.S. You knew the person lived in Texas. You can pull up a list of every county in Texas, right? And then on your second screen or on your second tab, you can go to each county's property appraiser's website, type in that person's name, and find a list of addresses. And then from there, you can narrow it down if you have any other like information. That's all you had to do. I feel like I'm like giving people like too much information there, but like generally people like know they can do that. Every state has like each county has their own property appraiser's websites that gives you, which is each different too. It's not like the same. How you use it, how you access it is completely different. If you want to have like I think that might be going like a bit too far, you know? Like I think that if you're going to allow anybody to like look that information up, like the person who's looking up has to provide information to the county appraiser's office, like your actual information, like your first and last name, and like you need to show proof of like a valid driver's license. And then what happens is the owner of that property, whether it's an individual corporation, then gets an email or a letter or something from the county appraiser's office that says so-and-so person at so-and-so time and so-and-so date requested to access this information on your property. And then so you as the property owner now know that this person, so now you have their information, right? It's a tit for tat. Or you just don't allow people to have access to that unless they have a court order, you know? But if you want to have that type of discussion, yeah, I think in Germany and other countries too, like you can't just access someone's like private like property information like that too without like a specific interest, like you're willing to buy the property or something like that. You know what I mean? So if you want to have like that sort of like discussion, I think that's a valid discussion to have. By the way, there's no like anti-doxing statute too, and I think there should be. In terms of, and I think it should be very simple. Like if a person has not volunteered their private information, your first and last name, your residence, your work address, and the residence of any other people who live in your residence too. If you have never voluntarily revealed that information, where you yourself had to volunteer that information, that includes like celebrities too. If you have never volunteered your information, that information should not be spread by a third party or by somebody else without your express permission. Just keep it nice and simple. I think there should be an anti-doxing statute.
Journalists who are retweeting that account or reposting that information, and that felt really bad. And that again was like it sort of shook up the advertising world, and we're kind of nervous about that. So this just shows, I think, that Elon is a very good entrepreneur. He's a very good engineer. He's a very good technologist, but he's not so good at content moderation, and you can't be good at everything. So I feel like this, again, this kind of goes back to like why I voted yes on this like step down as CEO thing. I don't know who the person is that runs this platform. I just don't feel like it's Elon. He just doesn't seem to be able to make the decisions for the long term that a CEO needs in this position. You need to have like a 4-year or like a 5-year plan. And Elon, it's very clear by his decisions that he makes that he fires
Put
from
him
the
like the
hip.
video here.
You can't do that in moderation, right? You have to really think about the long-term consequences of what you're doing. So from the advertiser perspective, we see that. We see these short-form moderator decisions, and we don't really know. When I'm doing a campaign, right, like oftentimes the structure of a campaign that we do is called a 210, which means we'll run ads or we'll do a creative campaign with an influencer or whatever we do. We'll do it for a brand for 2 months, and if it works and the KPIs make sense and the numbers make sense, we'll go on for 10 months, right? So if we don't even know what that 2 months is, we don't even know what's gonna like does anyone know?
I forgot what KPIs stand for. KPI meaning, here we go, marketing. Key performance indicators. Marketing key performance indicators are specific numerical marketing metrics that measure progress toward a defined goal within marketing channels. I know I looked up KPI before. Don't watch enough Devin Nash. Unique website visitors, cost per lead, form conversion rate. All right. So key performance indicator. All right. Key performance indicators.
Know what's going to happen at Twitter in 2 months? I have no idea what's going to happen at Twitter in 2 months. So I'm not going to recommend advertisers go there and we're going to spend ad dollars there, much less 10 months, right? So if I can't guarantee my brands a stable platform or safety, then we're not going to advertise there. We'll go to somewhere else. Like TikTok looks like really stable right now, or we'll go like even to like Facebook or wherever else, right?
True.
Where we could probably guarantee the same engagement and numbers, but we're not like we just don't know what's going to happen. So this uncertainty, right? Like the stock market doesn't like uncertainty. Advertisers don't like uncertainty. We don't like uncertainty.
That's all true.
We're pulling back a lot, and that's if you see like the that happening on Twitter. That's why. Now that becomes especially relevant because 90% of Twitter's revenue is ad driven. So all of the decisions that agencies make, and this is all the agencies that I'm talking to and corresponding with, those agencies making these decisions basically are the lifeline of Twitter, more or less. Like that's Twitter is not going to be able to monetize anytime soon via Twitter Blue and like the $8 subscription. I don't like Elon has talked about, and this is like the most kind of exciting thing to me, there needs to be some way to reward content creators that produce video and tweet content so that it encourages more content to exist on Twitter, which then can be run ads against. That is a long-term vision. It doesn't seem to me that Elon really understands how to do that. And so I think that Elon is best served as a technologist, and we need like a long-term visionary for Twitter. And I don't know who that is. I don't know if that person even exists, because at this level of being a CEO, at the level that can moderate and run, that is a hard thing to do. It's most likely going to be a person who really works in the background while Elon kind of does the marketing. The thing that Elon is just incredible at, that I watched him do at Tesla and I was amazed by, I've watched him do for SpaceX, is just the media, the earned media is a concept that earned media means the media that you get covered on you without you having to pay for it. Just the amount of people that want to talk about Elon constantly because of these controversial decisions and the deliberate actions that he takes to make people talk about Twitter, whether it be like the unbans or the layoffs, everything. He is so good at it. And so I think he's actually really good as like a promoter and like the head of like Twitter in the background. I think it's very clear, we've seen from the past several days, that he shouldn't be making the key decisions on moderation on the platform. I don't have any problem with the other decisions that he's made for the company, which a lot of people do. Like he cut 50% of the workforce, and I think that was absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary.
Not a fan of that too, but it probably was the main.
A couple of weeks ago, that Twitter was going to be dead in the water, that there were going to be huge structural engineering failures.
People don't like to hear that too, but it depends on like your company. Like cutting workforce is like a very easy way to cut a lot of costs too. And from when I was going into the nitty gritty and like learning a little bit more about the inside of Twitter, they just spent money like it was like being printed, coming right off the press and being shot right into their veins, man. Like the company was very. I do not understand why. I understand why you want it in San Francisco, because it's kind of like a sort of like a tech hub, but it doesn't make any sense. That's the reason why a lot of like Silicon Valley was put into like first built in the 70s and 80s in these areas where the cost of having like a corporate park in those areas was relatively low, and it didn't make sense that you're going to have it in the heart of San Francisco too. I think that the next big step is for Twitter is to move out of their San Francisco office. I'm sorry, I don't see a reason why. It costs too much there. It's too far for a lot of people to travel from work, so they're spending a lot of costs. Move it outside of San Francisco, someplace else where it's a nice corporate park area. I know how I'm sounding when I say this. Every time I talk about business, like I feel like I'm losing my progressive credentials, but it's a fact. Move it to an area where it's easy for people to commute to, relatively easy. You still got to drive. There's California. What can you do? Put in a corporate park area to keep the housing down, and then keep the people that are there. You know what I mean? Just do that. And then I don't know what you're gonna do with the building. I don't know what the lease looks like. See if the city of San Francisco can buy it off you for the remaining time that you're there, and then move on from there too. Because I am concerned about like the long-term viability of Twitter, and I'm very concerned about how the Saudis have invested a lot of money into it too, and how much control they might have over the content moderation there too. You know what I mean? I am concerned about that too. And I was getting a little concerned too, because a lot of like conservatives I don't follow, all of a sudden they start appearing on my feed, and they only would appear on my feed when another content creator, political content creator I follow, would tweet at them or reply to them directly from a tweet they made. But all of a sudden they start showing up, and it's not, and it wasn't because like a Vosh or like at the time of Destiny or somebody else or Hassan would respond to a tweet that they made. They just start showing up. I started getting concerned about that too. And then a lot of like left-wing liberals, mostly a lot of liberal journalists I was following, all of a sudden I realized I wasn't following them anymore. You know what I mean? So I started getting concerned about it too. And I never had that problem before too, but it started happening.
Of course, we didn't see any of that. I don't think there's been a single minute of downtime. Some services have been kind of questionable, like Twitter Spaces, like kind of faded in and out for a while there.
Yep.
The platform works fine. And I think that this is one of those sort of Silicon Valley
relatively
things
fine,
where a lot of
I still have an issue with like the videos.
Need these jobs. Sorry, let me rephrase that. That was not what I meant. A lot of Twitter didn't need these jobs. Those people probably needed those jobs. But Twitter, just like 11,000 people being laid off from Meta, people being laid off at Salesforce, people being laid off at Coupa, people being laid off at Stripe. Like, we're seeing thousands and thousands of layoffs across the tech industry because over the last 10 to 11 years of this bull cycle, we've just seen it get bloated. There's been too many people that
I hate to say it, but he's right about that too.
PM stuff that they just don't really contribute to anything. So I think the layoffs at Twitter were absolutely necessary. Elon recently had a really controversial email that he sent out that read like this and surprised a lot of people. And it said, a week and a half after the first wave of layoffs, the drama intensified. Musk issued an ultimatum to employees: work harder or quit. In a midnight email to staff, Musk wrote, moving forward, Twitter will need to be extremely hardcore, require employees to work
completely unnecessary.
The email linked
completely unnecessary. I don't know why you did that too, and you still were like gonna fire these people. Just fucking like tell me, just be straight up with people. Just tell them like, listen, we're gonna let you go. We're bloated. We need to make cuts, and your job's no longer needed anymore. That's it. And just fucking tell them and like let them go so they can look for another job. Don't like dick around with them like that. All right. Just like be straight with them.
5 p.m. ET the next day. If not, they'd be laid off and receive 3 months severance. This got a lot of negative media attention. It looks pretty evil. Like, name a more evil thing for like the anti-work crowd, right? and you get this, okay? A zealous.
By the way, the people who moderate the r/anti-work subreddit, they don't do a good job of explaining what they're really talking about with the anti-work. It's not just like anti-work in terms of like we don't like work. It's like the mechanisms in place does not give the worker a fair shake at being able to maintain a living wage with rising costs, and that the jobs you do are jobs of absolute necessity where if you don't work these shitty jobs, you're gonna fucking starve to death, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, you people, it's not that people don't want to work, they want to work like fulfilling jobs where they can like take care of themselves, take care of their families, and like and still enjoy life. They don't want to just like what I used to do. I still do to some extent, but not as much. You know, it's just like clock in 9 o'clock, you're there past 5 o'clock some days, and like you're dog tired and you don't want to do anything when you get home. You let alone like play a video game. You know, you just want to sleep, and then you sleep and you rinse repeat, and then you have 2 days off, and then it's just like the days just go by so fucking quick. And then next thing you know, it's Sunday night, you're watching football, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta like fucking do all this fucking work. You know, it was fucking horrible, man. I was like, burnout is so real. Burnout, I never thought burnout was real until I started experiencing it. And let me tell you, folks, burnout is real, and it fucking sucks. That's why, like, I know a lot of lawyers, especially like here in the city, in like 3-4 years, you are burned the fuck out when you work to a medium to large size firm. They fucking work you. They work your fucking fingertips to the bone, and you're done. And like, and during like COVID too, a lot of lawyers were leaving. And the firms were giving them huge bonuses to stay, and they were like, "Fuck no," and they would do like hiring freezes like pre-COVID too, and that would make a lot of them wonder, oh, so like you wouldn't hire more attorneys that would make my life easier, right? But you were willing to give me a fuck ton of money in bonuses to stay for another like year or two, which is all bullshit. You know, they were making they knew for a fact they were making like record profits. That's just like how it goes. But like, the burnout is real, and you're seeing that now with a lot of teachers now for a lot of different reasons too. I mean, at this point, like, if you're a teacher in like Florida or Texas, like, you don't want to teach in Florida or Texas anymore because like it's such like a shit show. Like, you could be fired for like the dumbest thing. Like, a kid comes to you, and when we're going on like this tangent, but like a kid comes to you like in Florida, says like, hey, I think I'm gay. And then like, what the f you gonna do? Then you tell the parents, and then parents spin the story to the principal. Schools are like lawsuit adverse. Next thing you know, you're getting fucking fired because a kid just like came out to you, and you're like, and you follow the law, you tell the parent, but the parent thinks like you fucking groomed the kid for like whatever reason, even though you did everything that was asked of you. Then you get fucked over, and then you get like the label of groomer, you know? Dumb shit like this. That's why teachers in Florida and like Texas are leaving in droves now. It's such fucking bullshit. Just like fucking just make everybody, just get rid of the schooling system in those states. Just say everybody's homeschool. See how that fucking works out too, by the way. When the vast majority of people in those states can't homeschool because both parents are working. You're not gonna give them any help too, so good luck with that. Fucking education in this country is it's a fucking mess, dude. It's better in like the blue states because people are actually working to figure things out, but it's still a joke sometimes.
That looks really bad.
Side tangent done.
Deal, and this is my take, okay? And I guess I'm biased also as an employer. I think that jobs should be difficult. I don't think that like the Twitter stuff that was happening before was crazy. People were spending their entire day in the cafe eating 5-star food, on their laptop on the roof, doing nothing, browsing social media, whatever, doing like maybe a couple hours of work a week. I just don't think that's acceptable. And one of the reasons why I love recessions is because it really roots out the companies and the people that don't hang and aren't willing to really put in the work. So I think that Elon offering 3
I'm not a
months
fan of recessions because of the mass job loss.
And
now, I understand where like Devin is coming from the like the owner regard. Let me tell you from the worker standpoint, your job is not your life. Your life is your life. Your job is your job. You should never be comfortable when you are at work, not just because like you want to maintain your job security, but your job is just that. It's just your job. You can be cordial with people. You can be friendly. You even have friends at the job. But when it's closing time and it's time for you to leave, you're done with it. You are shut out from that. You need to keep those two worlds separate, in my opinion. This is not like the NFL and the NBA where you've played a sport your entire life and now you're playing it at the highest of levels. Your job is still your job there until you dare do a job. So if you don't do your job, there's another guy on the team that'll probably take your job. Okay? So from that standpoint, I understand. Your work life and your life are two separate things, and the two shall never meet. I don't like working on the weekends because I only got 2 days off. I'm gonna take advantage of that to decompress. Okay? If you want me to stay past like 5 o'clock, you're paying me more money. It's flat out. Okay? I don't want to. You're gonna give me healthcare because I need it. Okay, in this country. I'm gonna ask you for like reasonable things too. So if you need me to come in on the weekend, you're paying me money, quite a bit of money, to come in on the weekend.
saying, look, like if we want to make this company work, it's either all these people really step it up and gear up for this, or the company is not going to work and none of us are going to have jobs. That is the real reality of business that people may or may not want to accept. And I just think that we've lived in such easy times for so long that the tech industry especially didn't realize that at some point the piper comes calling, and like we've got to make it make sense. The revenue's got to make sense. The valuation's got to make sense, right? We saw this in the esports community. If you watch this YouTube channel a lot, you'll see that I cover esports a lot, and I've talked about this, the enormous overvaluations in esports that make no sense. Are these companies that are worth 200, 300, 400 million dollars? And we saw with FaZe Clan when they IPO, and we actually saw a market example of that when FaZe went with a SPAC and tried to IPO. That from an esports perspective, that made no sense. The shareholders didn't believe it. They said this is not worth those hundreds of $millions, and the stock plummeted to this day, right? So these companies aren't making money. And so if they're not making money and they're not making a valuation, then like they're overpaying people.
This could be like the next big, like, I don't know if you remember like the dot-com bubble. If you're old enough to remember that in my audience, the dot-com bubble bursting, like in the early 2000s, I think. Was it the early 2000s? They might remember that. But I think we're coming to that too with Twitter and these other like social media companies, because the problem is these companies, I've talked about this before in a previous stream, these companies were not, when they first started out, the Twitters, the MySpace was really like the lead, and the Facebooks too. These companies were social networks. They were networking sites. They were there for you to discuss ideas, meet interesting people, connect with family and friends, especially if you moved away and stuff like that as you progress through high school, college, and regular life too. They were never intended to be what they are today. So when they began as this one thing, whereas it's like, hey, let's like go out this Friday night. You're talking to like Paul, your longtime like high school buddy that you just reconnected with on Facebook, you know, or you know, you're talking to like your cousin, they come into town. Hey, can I stay with you? I don't want to pay this absurd New York City price for a hotel. Yeah, of course, man. You know, that's what it was intended to be. But then the people who made those companies like, oh shit, we can sell ads on this. We could do this. We could do that. Then they became something for me to use and for Devin to use. Content creator, advertiser, to make money off of. But that wasn't the original intent of those companies. And unfortunately, the company's foundation is a social network, but they built this social media conglomerate on top of it too. And guess what? Those two things don't really mesh in a lot of things too. That's why you have these free speech debates on all these fucking platforms, right? And unfortunately, these platforms want to be profitable. Hear me out when I say this. They need to follow FCC guidelines. They need to have these companies. I'm going to be very honest with you. They need to become what TV has become. They need to fall under Federal Communication. What's the FCC stand for? It's the FCC, right? Yeah, the Federal Communications Commission. They need to follow these guidelines here. The same guidelines that follow TV, I think social media needs to follow too. It's simple. I don't believe, does social media platforms, let me double check this. Does social media platforms follow This is what I thought. My industries, granted. Yeah. And I think there's like, I think that there needs to be more integration of the this fucking moron, of the FCC into social media. Those same guidelines that broadcast, over cable TV and over satellite too, I think they need to follow on those guidelines too. I think they have some regulatory, I'd really do a deep dive into it. I think they have some regulatory, but like, you don't have these issues nowadays with television. I think you do need stricter guidelines. I think you do need like some level of government regulation into that too. And I think that would make social media a lot more tolerable for a lot of people too. Because what is social media at this point, right? the fact that you have ads on Twitch, if you've come into this channel, and since I've not run ads yet, I'm about almost a half hour and change into this stream. You've probably been hit with an ad at some point, right? You probably have been hit into it with an ad. I can't control that, by the way. Ads are going to run regardless. If I run an ad at the top of the hour, which I will, then the people coming in, probably you'll get like 30 minutes of like no like ads if you're coming into the stream. But the fact of the matter is, social media has basically become like TV now. And look at Netflix. They're gonna have a tier now where you pay less for Netflix, but you're getting ads. Hulu was doing it before. I think Disney does it. I think Paramount does it. All these have ad tiers now. You know, when you subscribe to these streaming services, you cannot avoid ads. If you can't avoid ads, and if like these streams are essentially like an extension of TV, you gotta deal with ads on TV. Guess what? FCC's coming in, and we're gonna regulate this shit like it's TV. That makes the most sense. That absolutely makes the most sense. And then you have the same censor stuff and all that stuff too. And if you want to get the uncensored stuff, you're paying a fee for it. I'm being serious. And I think that if you are a content creator, you follow FCC guidelines. FCC takes over, you get a notice from the FCC. Guess what? You're communicating just like on a TV show. I cannot curse then. And if you are in an 18 plus network, I'm not saying like pornography or anything like that, but if you curse or anything like that, you must mark your channel as for 18 plus, or you're gonna have like a TVMA, things like that, and it's gonna have like all this, and you gotta click on it too. And if you don't, you the content creator don't get fined. The company gets fined, so Twitch gets fined. And where's Twitch gonna collect it from? It's gonna collect it from your earnings. It's going to keep everybody honest. That's the best way to do it. People are going to come at me. Content creators come at me. That's the best way to do it. That is the best way to do it moving forward. I'm being serious. That is the best way. You might say, well, what about the chat? Moderate the chat then. Have mods. You create different bots to do different things. Figure it out. That is, I'm telling you, that is the best way to do it moving forward. It keeps everybody honest. Okay, and if you want to go to these alt platforms, go ahead. Guess what? You're not gonna have any advertising, and your revenue's gonna go straight down unless you got a bunch of whalers pumping in money into you. But guess what? Those whalers go away. Why? Because those whalers are gonna go to another channel. I promise you. That's the reason why, like, when you're like a conservative, you go to like the Gabs, the Parlors, or whatever the streaming services that conservatives go to. That you can't compete with the Crowders, the Shapiros, the fucking Charlie Kirks and whatnot. Why? Because they have such a hold on their audiences too, and they don't share unless you join the family, and then you need to suck up to them, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm telling you, strict FCC guidelines. These platforms then comport to FCC guidelines here in the States, and then these platforms have to hold you, the content creators, accountable to make sure you follow that. And if you don't like it too, then go to the all platforms. If TV can do it, you can too. You can read the same rules that the TV executives do. All right, I'm telling you, content creators are not gonna like that, but it keeps everybody honest. It's the best thing to do. And then platforms, if they want to, for anyone in Twitch, YouTube, who are watching this, or any of these other platforms, you guys know you can do it. But you guys get away with not wanting to follow FCC guidelines or be under the thumb of the FCC, because you know what would happen. You would get put in front of Congress and get fined up the wazoo. That means you would need to invest a shit ton of money into content moderation. But you guys know it's the best thing for the platforms to survive in the long term. Because if you're under FCC guidelines and FCC rules and regs, advertisers will feel much more secure. There's a reason why the NFL makes so much money over advertising, because they're safe. It would force your content creators. You would have to enforce some strict rules though, but overall you would make a lot of money over the long term. Content creators would fucking hate it, and they would like leave. A lot of them would leave, but like the ones that would stick with it and like be able to follow the rules, they would grow. Trust me. And you would be very advertiser friendly, and you would make money.
And they can't get by on all this debt.
And don't give me this like free speech bullshit. Okay, you can still say like crazy shit all you want. Tell me, you can do all the crazy shit that you want. You can say a whole bunch of crazy shit. You can go outside. I can go outside my house right now and get a whole bunch of crazy shit. But I'm not free from the consequences of saying all that crazy shit. You know what I mean? Let's not pretend like you can say whatever the fuck you want out in public. No, you can't. Go to a restaurant, cause a scene in there, start saying some racial fucking slurs and shit like that. So if you don't get kicked out of a restaurant, somebody probably knock you the fuck out. Let's not pretend that you get to say whatever the fuck you want when you outside your house. Okay? The reality is free speech begins in your house, whatever part of your house, like in your bedroom, and it ends at your front porch. Let's be real about that. Okay? You don't get to say whatever you want when you go to work. You don't get to say whatever you want when you're in a nice restaurant with your girl. You don't get to say whatever you want when you go to a Mets game, a Knicks game, a Jets game. No, you don't. You talking about you get to say whatever you want. You don't get to say whatever you want. Only time you get to say whatever you want is in your home. And you probably don't get to say whatever you want, especially when you have kids and you got a girl. Let's be real about that now. Come on. It's boy, I get to say whatever I want. You say whatever you want in your house. You don't get to say whatever you want when you're outside. Don't give me that bullshit. That ain't reality. All right? I deal with reality. Okay? And in reality, you don't get to say whatever you want. There's a reason for that too. Because we live in a nice, quote unquote, civil society. You can have your opinions. Okay? And I get to disagree or agree with your opinions, whatever the case may be. But you don't get to say whatever you want. Don't give me this fucking free speech. Don't be lying to people about that shit. Okay? You don't get to say whatever you want. Okay? You can have civil discussions with people, but you don't get to say whatever crazy shit that comes out your fucking mouth that you've been thinking about. We read on Facebook, Gab or Paula. Come on. Let's be fucking real with me about that shit. All right, back to Devin.
So it has to make sense. Elon, I think, understands that, and I think he's a great leader from that perspective. And then from the content moderation perspective, that is just such a impossible task. We've talked about it on this channel before, that moderating
I feel really cozy right now. I'm not gonna lie. I got my nice, really nice sweatshirt. I got the window open actually.
No matter what you do,
my heater's on low.
I
feel
think
it's like perfect. Perfect for winter.
At the head of it. I think that
not too cold either.
A shadow moderation council that kind of works off of popular opinion. I do think it's a very good idea for them to keep polling people. The problem is, like, I don't know how much those polls are gamed. It looks like what they're going to be doing on Twitter now is they're going to be making those polls only for subscribers. So people that are paying $8 for Twitter. I actually am a fan of that. Maybe.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man.
Bro, he's bribing his O-line, dude. Life in prison. I mean, a real answer would be whatever the appropriate sentence would be handed out by a jury. You know? Bribing his O-line, I like it. Listen, I really hope it works out for you, man. Just show up, dude. You're talented, though. That's the crazy thing. You're in your head. Come out this Thursday and ball. It's a short week. Tomorrow's the game. I'm gonna be watching it. We can watch it on Twitch, by the way. Just make a Twitch account. You can watch it. All the Thursday night games are on Twitch. Or if you have an Amazon account, you can easily sign up for a Twitch account. This is a flat out lie. FBI paid, yeah. Godspeed, gentlemen. You guys step up, man. For the women, step up. I hope nothing happens to him. That's not a joke, too, by the way. I hope nothing happens to him. You hear what's going on in Iran now, too, right? We were just taking a bit of a break, but these regimes are not forgiving of dissidents. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Trayvon Walker's out. That's a good one. Fucking Steve Cohen. I think he needs like 3 more catches, right? To pass the Jets rookie receiving record. 3-4 more catches. Oh my god. You guys want to know why you're losing? Because of dumb shit like this.
By the payroll tax levied on employer and employee.
That's 70% of what we spend every year. The subject we were just discussing, the funding of the government, is about 30% of what we spend.
If you reduce the
I've seen this
outgo of
clip
Social
plenty of
Security,
times.
that money would not go into the general fund to reduce a deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit.
That's true, by the way. That's from fucking... apparently, like, Reagan's a rhino. Apparently, too. Okay. What is this? Overwatch cosplay by Amaru? Okay, good on her. No. Yeah, Johnny got fucking swatted again. Yeah, if the Mets win a World Series, a lot of Justins, a lot of Justins, a lot of Pete's, a lot of Carlos's, a lot of Edwins are going to be born in 9 months. I'll tell you that much right now. I still haven't really gotten a lot of like patterns for that. I need to get back to it. I've just been playing a lot of I haven't seen it in theaters too. If it's on Netflix, I might just get Netflix for like that 1 week and get it. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty cool. But it's probably like edited. This man needs to get the ball more. He's fucking ridiculous. He's a good tight end too. They've been using him a lot in the blocking scheme. Begin to think now maybe he should never have bench Zach, but the thing is too, like, I don't know, man. I think he just needs more time to cook. I think honestly, even if Mike after this Thursday's game, if Mike can play, I don't think you play him. I think you play Zach. I think you really need to see what you got too. And I see, I'm like, there's like a rendering lag, and I'm telling you, it's the videos from Twitter that are doing it. All right, that's enough. All right, let's get back to Devin.
Some of you may not
just Twitter
be,
scrolling.
but I actually like the idea of polls being from paid people because those are the people with skin in the game and the platform. I don't think that number one, I think that a lot of free polling invites a lot of bots, and I don't like that. And number two, I think it also invites a lot of grifters and trolls, and we should
then get rid of the bots. You grifters and trolls. No offense, grifters and trolls can get a Twitter Blue subscription unless he works it into the code where if you get a Twitter Blue subscription within like 24 hours of a poll, you can't vote on the poll. Then he would have to do that. Then get rid of the bots. And if you're only going to allow this, I hate this take already. Oh my God. All right, Devin. Jesus Christ.
Shouldn't be making content moderation decisions or really any decisions on the back of people that aren't actually invested in the platform. This is the whole reason why companies have shareholders, because the shareholders want the company.
But these aren't shareholders, though.
the company kind of serves the shareholders. When Twitter was a public company, it had to do that just because of the way that a public company works. Now that it's a private company, some of the only accountability we have is maybe paid subscribers actually doing polls. So I'm a fan of that, or just like kind of polls existing in general. But when I first made my Twitter video, the original Twitter video on the Devin Nash channel was 7 months ago. And I said 7 months ago, I said Elon is going to have a really hard time with just the number of people that disagree, because that's the nature of this, running the kind of platform like this. And it's come to pass, right? Like I don't think that him stepping down as CEO is some sort of sudden realization that he can't run Twitter. I just don't think that his ego would allow that, and I also don't think that was his plan from the beginning. As I showed, even as early as November, we saw him saying that he was going to find a new CEO anyway. So this is a marketing ploy. A lot of people have asked me about this and like kind of asked me to make sense of this. I'm telling you it's a marketing ploy. I'm telling you it's outrage marketing. People do not understand how like, if there's one thing I could tell you as a professional marketer, okay, on authority, seeing this every day.
Marketer,
how
not
much
advertiser, yeah.
of the advertising you see, the content that you watch, whether it be on like television or like Netflix or whatever, is geared to make you feel a certain way. That marketers sit in rooms and they think about the emotional impact that something is going to have. And
That's
if
true.
they say people are going to hate this is going to be a really negative emotional impact, there is a good percentage of marketers who are like, sounds good, send that out there, okay? The traditional media has become experts at it. If you look at any of the like television, any major news channel is not as important. The subject of the story is not as important as what you feel from the story. So everything is generated to make you feel a certain way, and usually that's like outrage, fear, scarcity, such like that. And I see people just falling into this endless pit of just people falling into this idea, like just buying into these ideas, but these ideas are just generated in a factory. Like Elon and whatever marketing team is behind him is generating a lot of these ideas in factories and saying, this is going to provoke this kind of emotional response. This is going to drive that kind of user engagement. This is going to, now they don't like entirely know. It's not like the Illuminati. They know like 100% what is going to happen. But there's been like, especially someone like Elon, who's been doing this for years and years and years. Like he gamed everybody with Tesla. He got everybody on board with that. He knows what he's doing. And so this, like, I don't like if you're looking at this, you're trying to make sense of this logically. The logic is in when you realize that a lot of this is a deliberate effort to get media covering him, to get everybody shouting at each other, to get user engagement up to an all-time high, to attract advertisers back, and it's just a coordinated plan. And I would say about like 70 to 80% of the stuff that has happened on Twitter has been that so far, with the other like 20 to 30% just being really stupid decisions, just genuinely dumb decisions from a person who's never like content moderated at that level, and difficult decisions, right? Like, so it's funny because like, I've been like blasted as an Elon supporter. I've been blasted as an Elon hater. I've kind of gone like back and forth because I really try to bring a balanced perspective that is like not politically leaning. I do my best. And it's funny, like I was not a fan of Tesla. And then when Twitter started happening, I was like, man, he's going to have some problems with this content moderation. Lo and behold, he did. And this is sort of played out to pass. So I kind of like hope that this sort of makes sense of a lot of things. It really starts to make sense in the perspective when you watch what his actual actions are and what is changing. So you look at something like the content moderation policy. I think that's really important. This kind of speaks to this, where he releases this policy, says no more linking to Mastodon, no more linking to competitor websites. We're done.
Yep.
Everybody freaks out. And he goes, of course we're not going to do that. And by the way, everything will be polls from now on. So we're just going to walk that back. No problem. Whoops. But think about the earned media, the engagement that he got from that. I mean, millions and millions and millions of impressions. Everybody is talking about Twitter, right? I think there's a lot of deliberate effort in that comes from a person who's very good at outrage marketing. So it starts to make sense when you look at that perspective. And maybe that will be hard for you to believe. Maybe you just think that Elon is a bumbling idiot who is just making dumb decisions and stumbling into everything. I will tell you on authority that I don't think that people get to the billions of dollars mark and build two successful companies, including one public company that has introduced EVs to the world, by not understanding traditional marketing. I think you got to give a person more credit than that, even if you're in like the super hate billionaires, angry rich people crowd. Yeah. So overall, I just think like Elon has a philosophy of just moving fast and breaking things. Like just it's Silicon Valley on turbo speed. Like break everything. Whatever works, we keep that. That's good. Everything broken and all the people that get broken along with it, whether they be employees or fans or whatever, yeah, screw all them. We're gonna keep going, and like that is a great model for a technology company. That's a great model when you're trying to send people to space and you're trying to figure out new technology and new engines, and you're trying to you're trying to as safely progress as possible, but as fast as possible, and you're okay to break things like along the way. That does not work for the long-term vision of a like Twitter type of company, which really relies on somebody that can step back and say like, what does the next 5 to 10 years of our discussion and our ecosystem look like? What do we need to do to ensure that that is like the most safe and welcoming community as possible, while simultaneously being able to cover these big issues that may be really controversial. And where I end up on that, just like as a sort of summary, is I think I'm a huge fan of intellectual, empirically backed discussion about any topic. I really hate when we get into dogma, and I hate when we get into fundamental like ideologies that start to shape the discussion in a way that moves away from empirical evidence and data. And I think that Elon is sort of falling into his own trap in a way, because he bought Twitter under the idea of releasing it from ideology. That Twitter was a historically left-leaning platform, which is undebatable. I mean, there's 97% of all donations made by Twitter employees were to Democratic parties. There's no question that Twitter was a very left-leaning platform as an
It's in the state of California, which has been Democratic hands on, I don't know for how long. What'd you expect?
Leaning it over to the right and more of his ideology, instead of making it what it should be, which is an open, neutral town square where both parties can actually discuss something. Because I, for one, as an American, am tired of people tearing themselves apart over political boundaries. I've been called, it's so crazy, in covering this Twitter issue, I've been called an extreme left person, an extreme right person, just by whoever like wants to label or identify me. And I've seen my friends and other people covering this the same way. That it's like, I really want a neutral town square where people can come together and be like, let's just like take off that blue or red hat or whatever, put it over here, and just discuss the issues and respectfully towards each other. Let's not label, let's not identify, let's do that. I think
maybe like
Elon
the average.
do,
all right, all right, I get the sentiment from like where he's like coming from too, and people on my side of the aisle have no problem doing it. The people on the other side of the aisle are calling trans people, gay people, groomers and pedophiles and all this other shit. They're the ones doing it too. I have no problem sitting down and having a nice, cordial conversation. The other people, on the other hand, call me a fucking communist. Okay. And I just tell them like, I want Medicare for all. I don't want people to like go broke when they go have like get into a car accident. Very simple things. Basically the Bernie Sanders platform. But I'm still labeled a communist, a socialist, like whatever they want to call me. And just because I say trans rights and human rights, etc., I get called a groomer too. So I don't know where that civil conversation is going to be. I'm willing to have it. The other side of the aisle has no problem slinging dirt. Look at their cultural leaders. They do it all the fucking time too. And they rile up their masses and they do the same thing. I got no problem having a civil conversation, Devin. You tell that to the other side of the aisle because they don't want to have it.
I'm worried right now, like as of the time
and I like
filming,
Devin too.
I'm starting to get concerned that he's inadvertently or advertently moving this platform into his own ideology. And I don't care if that ideology is left or right. It's not good to just if all we do is we just flip over and turn the other way. That's not good. Like we're not creating that open town square of that great discussion that I think the world really desperately needs right now, and is why Twitter is such an important project. So if Elon is going to move away from space and from new technology, then at least keep the platform neutral and put that work into it. I worry about the future of Twitter at this point, not only from the debt perspective that we've talked about in previous videos. Go check those out if you want to see like a whole breakdown of like why Twitter is just in trouble. I mean, just empirically, just like from the numbers, they're in huge trouble. They have a lot of debt they have to make up. They owe a lot of money to banks, probably at and I think Elon got margin called on Tesla already. meaning that he already had to sell Tesla stock to pay off some of the debt at Twitter. That might continue, and it's just going to be worse for Tesla and worse for all people involved. So I think that they have extremely scary financial concerns, but also concerns just on the ideological direction of the platform that is problematic right now. So that, I hope, is kind of a summary of everything that's sort of going on with Twitter. And I hope that this was helpful, and sort of the perspective of an advertiser or the perspective of somebody that is kind of in the juice of this can kind of help out with, make sense of this world and what they're kind of thinking over there. And we'll keep making these as long as stuff keeps being interesting. And knowing Elon, I think that it will be interesting for quite a while. Hey, thank you very much. I didn't do a secret call out, so if you're at the end of the video, hey, post a
Good job. Go ahead, post a comment. Links in the discussion below. This is, I'll put this to watch later. We'll watch this later. This is like fucking insane. This guy talked about for an hour. Fucking Carlos Correa is fucking a New York Met, not a Giant. You can thank Francisco Lindor for that. He's got to show up, man. He does. Oh, fuck it. I don't think I actually have, like, any issue with that. Yeah. I saw this video from the Ackman last night. It's really good. He delves into, not the anime, but into the card game. The card game is fucking complicated as fuck now, dude. I looked into it. It is, like, it is because of, like, they never really, like, when they kept making the changes to the card game, they never updated the old cards, and now, like, it's these old decks that you had can't, like, compete with, like, these newer decks, because it's like the text is just, like, so confusing, and, like, it's like the littlest things, like, can change like how, like, things like like what happens to it. No, then we'll stick here.
Correa's deal, the Mets have now committed more than $800 million to free agents this offseason, which
I love to see it.
reigning Cy Young
From the
winner
Wilpons to
Justin
Cohen.
Verlander.
It's
That's
such
over
a stark
$200
difference.
million more than
Let's
any
fucking
other
go,
team
baby.
has handed out to free agents in a single season. The Mets
Bro, we got
payroll
one of the best
is currently
infielders of
over
baseball. Let me tell you what.
$380 million next season. I feel like we're talking about monopoly money, but it's not. It is a real deal. Do you like the Mets spending this?
No, this is ridiculous. I mean, my goodness, they didn't need Correa, for crying out loud. They won 101 games last year without him, and he maybe failed the physical with the Giants, so all with a bad back. And so all of a sudden, Mr. Cohen feels we can go pay him for 12 years and $315 million and back. You know, I know he has to have a physical, but back be damned.
Something tells me his physical is going to go fine with the
In
Mets.
8 seasons has been in the IL 7 times. This is a guy that has played over 150 games once in his career. The Mets had an excellent third base prospect in Beatty, who now they can't play anywhere. They had Escobar making a fortune at third base too. They're down on him. When is enough? $380 million? If you're a Met fan, don't you want a couple of homegrown guys? Well, who's next? Want to bring Tom Seaver back? I mean, this is going to be stupid. I mean, my goodness gracious. How much can you spend on players? It's Diaz, it's Nimmo, it's Verlander.
You only live once. If you have it, go for it.
Senga, enough for, they bring Quintana in, and then they bring him in for $315 million. I don't even need him, and they're going to switch him to third base. He's a shortstop. Oh, come on, please. Enough. I've had enough. I've had enough.
Mad Dog Russo. Gonna break news here on First Take.
Oh, should I get the graphic going?
I'm jealous. I am jealous. Steve Cohen, I love this man. I love him. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I have no problem with what he's doing whatsoever. It's a tax write-off. He's good. Payroll over $324 million. It's a tax write-off. He spent over He's committed to over $800 million in salary. For all the names that you mentioned, Verlander and Nimmo and Quintana and now Correa and
bro, this Mets team
I love me some Verlander,
is insane.
Okay? Let's not get what is this guy Ottavino? Ottavino right there, along with Robertson, all right, and Senga from Japan. man, and you're looking to get that cat from the Giants. I forgot his name because you want to buffer your line, your bullpen. Let me tell you something right now. This is what George Steinbrenner used to do. I miss that man so much. I just want to say, George Steinbrenner, God rest his soul. I miss this man. I'm not a fan of his children. I'm not a fan of Hank and Hal.
Look at the fucking the R+L carries New Orleans
A
ball.
resident sitcom, okay? That all of a sudden want to have a budget. I don't want to hear all of that. Not when you're in New York City. And this man Cohen, all right, and it's apropos that he has followed the Wilpons, or wait, Mr. Coupons. That's what I call him, Coupons, not Wilpons, all right? You know, it says, I stole that from your man Adam Shine, my buddy Adam Shine. He said coupons, not Wilpons, but coupons.
All right, that's enough. Let's see.
It's weird during the break, Cody said to me, I really liked that segment earlier today where you
Let's see
threw
what
things
Greg.
at me and I was
What's
blindfolded.
Craig?
Do it again.
See what Craig says.
Yes. No problem. In just a little bit, if we can find that blindfold again. Meanwhile, football news, New York Jets, Jaguars tomorrow night. It's essentially a playoff game for both teams. Got to win to stay alive. And it's going to be Zach Wilson at quarterback for the New York Jets. Look, he got benched because he played like crap.
That's it.
Period, stop. And that's one of the beauties of sports. You can't hide on a field.
Nope.
You are what you are. We all got eyeballs. We watched you play like crap against New England especially. 5-2 prior to the loss last week. So now he's 5-3. But, you know, it's funny. I remember when Mike White came in. And he had a very good first game, obviously. And Robert Saleh came out and said something that resonated with everyone, which was he makes the easy plays look easy. This kid he's a great athlete. He's got a great arm. He makes the hard plays look easy. He makes the easy plays look difficult, and that's a real problem.
Yeah, and that's the inconsistency of
Right.
the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right, if you can't do that. And I think when you talk about Mike White, he brings more, he's a little bit more consistent than him. And one thing I do know about a young quarterback, especially when you have a good defense, it is okay to punt.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, you
100%.
don't have to take all these chances and try to win the whole game on your right arm. It is okay to punt. And instead of threading this needle to show the world, the Jets fans and all that, your arm talent, it's okay to check the ball down. You know, now
He happens to be the worst check down passer in football.
and I'm
but
not
I got
saying check the ball down every single time, you know what I mean? I'll give your receiver some chances, but you don't have to make these reckless throws, you know what I mean? And then for me, it's about seeing the game the right way. This is year 2, and I don't still know if he's seeing the game the right way. And once you're seeing the game the right way, then you make the simple plays, right? Because you're able to know what defense is doing to you. You see in the coverage, you know where you want to go with the ball, knowing what the play call is, knowing what the defense is, and you're able to make the simple plays. And I think that's what Mike White has over him right now.
Yeah.
Understands the offense, knows these defenses a little bit better, so he knows, oh, you want to play cover 2? I got this play. I'm just going to dump it right here.
The other problem
Make the
he's
simple
got
stuff.
is you have, the new age wide receivers don't mind complaining.
Yeah, no doubt
And when you
about
have
that.
your best wide receiver, who's
Everybody
Garrett
ain't
Wilson.
Everybody ain't JJ.
Right, Garrett Wilson's out there flailing his hands all around every time
No, it's
the
true.
ball doesn't
And
go to
I
him or
hate
it's
it.
behind
I
him.
hate it. I absolutely hate it. Not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I hate it because I hate when quarterbacks do that.
Right.
Man, quit throwing your hands up at me, man. You know what I mean? Because my grandma and people watching the tape, and that's your fault. And you throwing your hands up at me and all that. So, even with my little kids right now, as I coach youth football, I tell my sons play receiver. I say, throw your hands up once you come in to stand by me on the bench. Stop showing the quarterback up. That's just how I'm raising them right now. And the same thing with my quarterback. We don't need to see all that. Stop doing that stuff. All right, you missed the throw, you made the throw, he dropped it, whatever. Stop doing that stuff. I absolutely hate that.
Yep, well, that's what you're getting a lot of with Garrett Wilson. Now, they hugged after the game, and we all respect Garrett's a competitor, but you're showing your quarterback up, and the kid's already frazzled and rattled. The last thing you need when you have a rattled or skittish quarterback
and we all want the
is
ball.
that, right?
We all want the ball. We're receivers. We want the ball. We feel like we can help our teams with the ball in our hands, but I play with a bunch of good ones. You named a couple of them off, the Donald Drivers, the Jordy Nelsons, the Greg Jennings, the Randall Cobb. We was all in the same room. So I knew that one game I might have 5-6 catches, one game I might not have none. And I remember after games that I have one, maybe none, Aaron would come up to me, my bad, man, I didn't get you involved. I'll do better. I said, bro, we won. That's just how I was raised up. You coming up saying you sorry you didn't get me the ball. We won. I'm not like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's for me, it's going to be for me to make some money, make some plays in this league. I'm not like that. And not only that, I'm in a room with my brothers. So why would I be looking like if Greg got 10 catches and I'm over here? No, that's my dude. I'm happy you got 10 catches. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I was never like that as a player. So I hate when receivers show their quarterback up, and I hate when the quarterback throw their hands up.
Well, look, Zach might be playing for his Jet future, although there's almost nothing he can do. That's going to make Jet fans say that Mike White shouldn't start 10 days from tomorrow when they play their second and last game. And look, if they beat the Jaguars and they go to 8-7, and your Green Bay Packers take care of business against the Miami Dolphins, and you Cincinnati Bengals take care of the New England Patriots, Yahtzee. The Jets are right back in it.
I mean, two of those is going to happen.
You think Cincinnati beats New England, don't you?
No doubt about it, and the Packers win. I just don't know about the other one.
What? Well, I tell you, I mean, he is a consistent homer, and I like it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot. Hey there, thank you so much for watching.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Who do you beat? Miami Dolphins against non-playoff teams, 5-game winning streak. Play playoff teams, 3-game losing streak. And I bring up Miami because Green Bay just beat 7 losses in a row Chicago, and
Let's move on to the Jets.
some blame shifting going on in New York. Now, as you know, I had real reservations about hiring an unproven defensive coach and then giving him a quarterback, second pick, small, little cowboy in him I wasn't in love with. So far, I'm right on the quarterback. Could be wrong eventually, but right on the quarterback. Saleh, I'm not sure, but he's falling into this trap of shifting blame, being hyperbolic, pretending it didn't happen. He's completing 50% of his throws. That's not nitpicking. Coach, you benched him. Coach, his teammates wore shirts supporting his backup. Find me the comps in the NFL for awful the first 2 years and amazing in year 3. And do not give me Josh Allen. Josh Allen in year 2 at 6'6", 250 was leaping over players and had 6 games of 100 passer rating or more. With a bad O-line.
That's true.
Bad O-line.
That's true.
Stephon Diggs wasn't in town that first year. I don't think he was in town his second year. But you saw greatness. Zach Wilson's had 1 game passer rating over 100, struggling to complete 52% of his throws. His teammates are wearing Mike White shirts, supporting Mike White. You benched him. This is called blame shifting. Here's the other thing. Thanksgiving year 2. The world's changed. I hope defensive coaches get this. But there was a time, and you know, have you ever gone back and watched like a 1950 or 60 show? It's really funny. I grew up with a show called...
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that the Jets have made a decision on Zach. I think they need to see more out of him, but I think they know that like they picked the wrong guy at number 2. And I don't understand why they picked him. I didn't like him coming out of college. I was like, what'd you guys see out of him that was consistent? I saw the same issues that he has too. He had one of the best offensive lines in football at BYU when he was playing. Like, it's the same issues. And I said, oh, he had the potential. But the thing is too, like the things that like they drafted him for, his accuracy, his ability to run this system, like it's not there. And like it's just, and I think it's because he played, like his competition wasn't that good. That does matter even in college. But at the same time, he had one of the best offensive lines in football. So he had like more than 3 seconds to throw the ball. That's not like in the NFL. And his internal clock has to like be quicker too. And he gets nervous from the pass rush. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to blame. But like most teams in this league don't have like a top 3, top 5 offensive line. That's just not possible, especially with the salary cap and like most of that money going to the quarterback.
Leave It to Beaver. And when you watch the show, all the parents do is complain about the children. Kids always see the world differently than their parents do. Kids today are smarter than ever.
I think that for the rest of the season, after this Thursday night game, you start Zach to see what happens. Even if Mike is cleared to play, you start Zach to see what happens. And then the guys are not going to like it, but I think you need to know what that is too. And I think that Joe Douglas knows. You start Zach, end of the season, you move him Mike becomes the starter. You rebuild the offensive line. You see what you have with Mike White as the starting QB with a better offensive line and maybe some more pieces on the defense. Add some pass rushers. You can never have too many pass rushers. Get another, get a ball hawk safety if you can find one like that. Just rebuild the offensive line. It's a priority. And we don't know what's going to happen with Becton. I think you need a left tackle. You can find a quality left tackle in the draft, get him. Or you can find someone in free agency, get him. Because you're not paying anybody. Make sure you get Quinnen. And then you move on from Zach. And see if Zach move him to the NFC. And see if the Rams or the 49ers would want to pick him up. Probably the 49ers. Or not the 49ers, the Rams would probably work well with him. But we'll see what happens. But it's a level of consistency. He has to consistently hit guys though that are open. The guys are open. Look at the all 22 guys are open. He's not seeing it though. That's the thing too. He's not throwing with anticipation. That's his thing too. Because he, for whatever reason, he doesn't have with some guys he does. But you can't keep locking on to the same 2 or 3 guys. You have to spread the ball around. That's what Mike White's good at. He throws with anticipation. He can throw with timing in this offense. And that's the thing that's crazy. And Jet Central said it yesterday or the day before yesterday, that video we watched. You drafted him because he can run this offense. But apparently he can't. And the light switch just hasn't hit on. And I don't think maybe it should have hit on. He's the number 2 overall pick. But he's nervous. He's in his own head. He has the yips clearly. He cannot run the offense because he just doesn't throw with anticipation. Because he's afraid of making a mistake. You need a guy who's patient with them, but the team has gone beyond it too. And I just think that they made a mistake drafting this guy. Maybe they need a guy who's your prototypical quarterback like Mike White is, pocket passer. Maybe that's who you need. You need a Jimmy Garoppolo type, which is Mike White. So move on from Zach at the end of this year. See what you have with them. See if you can actually get better. See if the light switch goes on this Thursday. Because he didn't play awful, but he's barely completing 50% of his passes. That's not good in this league. That's not good. These easy slant, but then he hits that outside slant, outside the numbers play to Garrett, and it was perfect. But then I don't know, man. I complain so much, but we just never get it right at quarterback.
Kinder than ever, ascending faster than ever. Kids are fine. The media's fine. Somebody told you it was fake news. What's fake is pretending this isn't a mess and Zach Wilson isn't failing. Because we've all seen it now. These kids come into the pros and our standards should be harder. Because they have 10,000 snaps by the time they get to their sophomore year. It used to be you give a quarterback 3 full years. Now it's Thanksgiving year 2. And that's the way it should be. Mahomes, we saw it instantly. Lamar, we saw it instantly.
Yeah,
Herbert,
true.
We saw it first game. Josh Allen, middle year 2. Not even middle year 2, beginning of year 2. Wow, he's jumping over people. Kyler, 3rd game. Cam Newton, I was never a fan of. First game, you saw wow. We're past Thanksgiving year 2. I see not wow. So this is a lot of blame shifting. The really smart coaches in this league. Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl. McVay moved off him. Garoppolo got to a Super Bowl. They drafted a quarterback. The smart offensive coaches are not sitting around waiting for 3 years for you to show us glimpses of excellence. I hope Zach Wilson makes it. Believe it or not, I'd love to be wrong. It's fun to have a New York team that's relevant. They never are for the last decade. I would love to see them relevant. And I never root against kids. He's got a good arm. A little bit too much Johnny Manziel cowboy for me, but got a good arm. But the idea that we are just an instant coffee society, no, we're not. The culture's changed. Quarterbacks are better sooner. Good God, Lamar's first year of starting, he won MVP. Mahomes' first year of starting, he's bringing home awards, Super Bowls. So that's not an instant coffee society. That is how football has changed. I'm concerned that a defensive coach doesn't get it. That's the new rule. Thanksgiving, year 2. You got a 25-20.
I hate agreeing with Colin on a lot of this stuff too. So I do.
I see a guy that's highly dependent on the spectacular and can't hit layups. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show.
I hate fucking agreeing with Colin. God damn it. I hate agreeing with the man so much. That was by my concern. I think Saleh needs a guy who's a little bit more mature and a little bit more ready in an offense. We can watch a little bit from Force. Let's see, from Coconut Island. This isn't Vosh's. This is just a fan channel, by the way. That's Vosh's permission to like post clips of his streams. So this isn't, Vosh isn't affiliated with Coconut Island. It's just Coconut Island and Thermia too is another. It's like the other big one.
Turning tweets about the recent Brazil election. If those tweets are accurate, it's possible Twitter personnel gave preference to left-wing candidates. Elon is going to be pushing the right-wing, the election was stolen myth in every left-winning election around the planet from now on. Every single time a left-leaning candidate beats out a right-leaning candidate, he's going to see one tweet from like Ian Miles Chong or Andy No and go like, concerning, and then broadcast the message that that actually the whole system is rigged against the conservatives. Twitter has admitted it amplifies more tweets from right-wing politicians and news outlets than content from
this is the Guardian article. Yeah.
According to a 27-page research document, Twitter found a statistically significant difference favoring the political right wing in all countries except Germany. Interesting. Under the research, a value of 0% meant tweets reached the same. On this basis, the most powerful discrepancy between right and left was in Canada. Liberals 43%, conservatives 167%. This percentage change has probably gotten a lot larger under Elon, but we're never going to know now because a lot of this information came from within Twitter that Elon would not allow public because they need to dishonestly promote the idea that the left bias was present here. Being conservative is about promoting violence, anti-democracy, a variety of other things.
All right, so we saw that clip before. Pizza. I actually got some leftover pizza.
Wilson back on the field. What did you take away from Sunday's game? I feel like it must not be positive.
Well, out of those 7 completions, 2 of them are broken plays, and one of them is an absolute Hail Mary to Garrett Wilson. I honestly believe for Thursday night, if they, let's say, throw the ball 30 times, no more than 5 of them should be straight drop back. I don't care if it's 5-step or 3-step. How many different times in those 25 other snaps can you sprint him out? And I understand it's simple designs, but it's better. How many times can you get designed moves outside of the pocket to just maybe allow him to be a little bit clearer? Bootlegs, waggles, where you ball fake one way and then move him opposite. Maybe some screens. Play action passes where it's a very clear read. Number 1 to the check down. I'm not even giving him a second option wide receiver and or tight end wise. 1 to 2. Honestly, this is, again, my job is to be as like analytical and honest as I can. I don't think he thinks that well right now. I don't think he sees the field well, and we call it processing. I honestly don't see the processing of this is what I should do with the football versus this defense on a play-to-play basis when they play drop-back football.
Guys, I thought he looked fine, okay? And
for
a second-year quarterback that's missed so much time, for a guy that's been through much malign how he has this season, I thought he actually gave them a chance to win the game. I looked at the coach and I asked, why don't you call timeouts at the end of this game?
This is like so strange, man. Like you have like these 2 different, like it's always with Zach, and that's a problem. Don't you think that? Like, I really think that's a problem. Like, all these analysts, like, there's like 2 schools of thought. I don't think he played that well, to be honest with you. I think he gave him like a decent shot, but like, there are plays where like, especially in the third quarter, that third quarter was horrible, dude. Like, he has to be able there's guys open. That's the problem. You look at the all-22 film, there are guys that are open. He's missing them. He doesn't, I agree with Dan. I don't think he sees the field that well. I think he's skittish in the pocket. I understand that it's not a great offensive line. They play pretty well. There's no run game. I thought they were going to keep up with the run game, but they couldn't get anything going in the run game. They're not that creative with them. I don't think the OC feels like he's capable of like utilizing the full playbook. And I think you need to like, I don't think the OC, and I think Saleh gives Mike LaFleur a lot of power over the offense. I think that like they need to do the things that Zach does well. Move him out the pocket. Like, don't let him drop back so much, because I don't think he can process everything that's in front of him with like multiple routes going on. I just don't think so. I don't think he's capable of doing that. I don't think that he's like used to that. So do the things, movement, waggles, rollouts, things like that, where he has to make 1 or 2 quick reads and he has to get that ball out.
To give him an opportunity to win the game. The thing that I don't like about Zach Wilson is his demeanor. I don't like the intentionality in which he presses and tries to play the game. It looks like a nonchalant feel to trying to get better. Putting emphasis on that. So for me, I'm not talking about whole totality. I'm talking about this game. I saw some things from this kid
38% first 7 games.
He can get this developed and he can be better. I did see that. Like, that's what I saw during this game. So for me, I have a huge issue with his get-to-itiveness.
His urgency.
A new word. Yeah,
I like
man,
that. I like get-to-itiveness.
That's my thing about when I watched him in this game. I thought some of those throws were high level. I thought the rollouts that we showed in the highlight, I thought that was solid. He threw the 1 interception, obviously was crazy, but I thought he placed the ball well, gave his guys a chance. A lot of this league now is about giving your elite guys a chance to make plays.
I thought he had way more wow misses than throws that gave guys.
So I'm going to say this. I believe I am in a place where I do not care how people behave that play this game. I wasn't in the locker room looking for good humans. I was in the locker room looking for good football players. And if Aaron Rodgers behaved the way that Aaron Rodgers does, and he was my quarterback, I would be a huge Aaron Rodgers fan because Aaron Rodgers is really good at football.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with my quarterback and Ben Roethlisberger when he was young. I was like, I really don't care how much people like you or dislike you. I do know we can win football games with you, so continue to be you, and we will grow in other ways. That's what he can do as a person. Now, as a player, I agree with Dan in this sense. You got to only do things that he does well. And if that's get the football out of his hands on rolls, if that's allow him to scramble or be able to get one read and then to the check down, do that. Because if you make him do things that he cannot, he will kill you. Here's why I disagree with you. He did not give them a chance to win that game. A defense that showed up on the goal line gave him a chance to win that game. When he threw a lollipop, ooh, lollipop, for an interception and the guy ran out of bounds, I tweeted, Jacobs, do not run out of bounds because your offense probably won't score against that defense, and they did not. The reason Robert Saleh couldn't use his timeouts in order to give Zach Wilson an opportunity to win the game is because he took 2 sacks on the last drive. And you know how you know that he can make all these exciting throws on like 3rd and 19 and 4th and forever because it's his fault. They're in 3rd and 19 and 4th and forever.
But it also was his doing that got you for a 58-yard field goal. It was also his throws that gave you an opportunity to kick a field. That's reality. I'm not trying to sit here and be an apologist. I can't believe I'm even actually.
All these things are true. That's the problem. All these things are true. I wish we had good press. This is horrible press for the Jets.
Wilson is not seeing the field. He's not thinking well. Was he thinking well ever, or is this a new thing?
I think in the Pittsburgh game this year, at the end of the season, he did. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube for live.
If there's one thing I've learned about MMOs over these past 15 years, it's never count on a release date. These games take a long time, cost a lot of money, and development never goes as planned. So when a new MMO gets revealed and claims we're launching this year, expect the next year or maybe even the year after that. This is true for a number of games we'll be taking a look at today, many of which were supposed to have launched in 2022 or earlier, but now looks to be coming in 2023 or later. I've been putting together a video like this since 2014. I've been doing this annually, and on every year's list, there are games from the prior year's list, if that gives you pretty much any indication that would sum up the whole thing for you. I can't predict the future, but I can tell you where each game currently stands, how development is looking, and what are the odds that you're going to be able to play the game within 2023. Before we jump into the list though, let's get a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Ridge Ring. You may know Ridge for their durable compact wallets and watches. Well, now they have their own range of rings. These two are quite durable beta testing. First up is Blue Protocol, the MMO that seems the most likely to officially launch this year. Just recently, the game was confirmed to be coming out in the spring.
It's free to play, by the way.
And later in the year for the West. Blue Protocol is an anime MMO. While not typically my preferred visual style for this genre, I am
Same
quite
here.
looking forward to this one, as I've been really impressed by what I've seen in terms of the gameplay and combat in particular. Everything looks really slick, smooth, responsive, impactful. I've heard a lot of good feedback from early testing of the game, and I really like a lot of the animation work on display. Just everything about the combat, the gameplay in Blue Protocol looks really solid from what I've seen. Quite possibly the biggest downside for this one, though, is that it's not what some would consider a true MMO, but more of a lobby-based shared world with instanced zones, loading screens between them, and player caps in all of it. Outside of that, though, Blue Protocol will have the standard suite of theme park MMO offerings: dungeons, PvP content, crafting and life skills, various zones to explore, bosses to fight, etc. The game's got a bit of story emphasis as well, with the main story quest said to be an epic journey through time. The game will be launching with 5 different playable classes. There's the Blade Warden, a Master of Sword and Shield. This is a close range defensive class, or a tank basically. The Twin Striker is another close range melee class, but more of a brawler. There's the Keen Strider, a ranged bow user. This is a technical class that specializes in party battles and excels at mid and long range attacks and support. Then there's the Spellweaver, a high difficulty long distance mage class suitable for party play with the ability to eliminate targets quickly from afar. And lastly is the Foebreaker, a close to medium range crowd control class that maintains the battle line with a heavyweight hammer. So every class in Blue Protocol can equip up to 4 skills that can be strengthened and modified with skill points. You'll equip various combinations of these skills, modifiers, and abilities to customize for your different preferred play style. They've also got these things called mystical echoes, these spiritual remnants of creatures with powerful attacks for you to summon in battle. You'll be able to obtain echoes during quest or even craft them using special materials. And the game has got the typical anime character customization options with different facial features, hairstyles, outfits, accessories, and all sorts of quirky facial expressions. Other features of Blue Protocol include the ability to craft custom weapons and gear, a variety of different types of mounts. They've got diverse biomes to explore, all of the standard fare of fantasy locations: highlands, plains, mountains, deserts, and forests. And actually, from what I've seen, some of the environmental art and design, just the landscapes and the zones that you'll be playing in, are really top notch. Like, this is really good looking stuff. Again, I typically don't prefer the anime aesthetic for MMOs, but I do find the visuals appealing in Blue Protocol quite a lot. Now, as mentioned early on here, this is an instance-based shared world game. They've said that zones will have a maximum of 30 players, towns will go up to 200, dungeon groups will consist of 6 players. Now, they have said that there will be 0 pay to win in the game. There is going to be a season pass with cosmetics, but no pay for power or progression. However, in a recent developer live stream, they have confirmed apparently that there will be gacha mechanics of some kind in the game. So RIP, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully the rest of the game offers enough of a fun experience to at least get some enjoyment out of it before having to dig too deep into our wallets, but I guess we will see. Blue Protocol will be free to play. It's currently planned to release on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, first in Japan in the spring, and then everywhere else in the second half of 2023. We've got no firm dates here, but yes, if you're going to count on any new MMO coming out next year, Blue Protocol should be near the top of your list. Next up is Throne and Liberty. This is a game that has actually been in development for a very long time. Originally, it started out as a successor to Lineage, the medieval fantasy MMO developed by NCSoft back in 1998. That game got a sequel called Lineage 2, which launched in 2003, and then what was supposed to be Lineage 3 was revealed in 2011. Originally, this was called Project TL, and it was a top-down ARPG MMO, so think along the lines of Lost Ark. However, after many years in development and going through several restarts, they decided to make some drastic changes, which led to the current game we see today. Throne and Liberty, its new name, is no longer a top-down Diablo-esque hack-and-slash MMO. MMO. Instead, we've got a third-person action game with realistic visuals and combat that on the surface looked to be reminiscent of something like Black Desert Online, although we did learn through developer interviews that it's more of an action hybrid system, which leads me to believe it'll be some sort of soft lock, maybe similar to what they do in Elder Scrolls Online. Some of the key features
which makes sense in Elder Scrolls Online is
a weapon class
the combat's really fun.
You are not locked into a role or class, but instead you pick 2 weapons that will determine your class, kind of like what New World does, except this game will have more than 3 abilities per weapon. It's said to have a massive open world with dynamic weather that directly affects enemies, your abilities, and even the terrain. So this system has implications such as making bosses stronger or weaker depending on the weather, enhancing or debuffing player abilities and attacks, and even restricting or opening up access to various parts of the world. Outside of the natural changes to the weather cycles, players will also be able to unlock a special one-off ability to call in a storm or even summon up a solar eclipse, which, speaking of which, the day-night cycle will also play into these adjustments. Its weather and day-night cycle will change the battlefield in those various means. The enemy types, what enemies spawn, making them stronger or weaker, making players' abilities and attacks stronger or weaker, and yeah, changing up the environment. It's a pretty cool system. There's also a big focus on challenging cooperative PvE. They said that this can be seen most clearly in the game's boss fights, which include these huge open field boss battles that may require potentially up to hundreds of players to take on. They've got this interesting mechanic where rather than having traditional mounts, they decided to make everyone a druid basically. The traversal system consists of transforming into different types of animals to run, fly, or swim faster. There will be PvP. This comes in the form of castle sieges with hundreds of players sieging or defending castles. You can control these giant stone golems to smash down walls. You'll also be able to take advantage of the game's various movement options to glide, fly, or even grapple onto high terrain, moving around the environment. Outside of the sieges, there's also open world PvP with a PK system in the game, and a lot of the other MMO elements you expect. Capital cities where you can hang out with other players, a big old loot grind for you to engage in, various different types of social and downtime activities. Now, news around Throne and Liberty was pretty quiet for most of this past year. That was up until September when we learned about the first internal beta test that had been taking place for some time, and they showed some snippets of stuff here. We got to see a look at character creation, some new enemy types, new bosses and grapple mechanics. We saw in a few shots a ton of people on the screen at once doing a castle siege. Frame rate looked pretty rough here, but it was impressive nevertheless, the number of people they were showcasing in one area. Let's talk about the monetization, and this is where things get a little bit iffy. Now, they haven't really laid out specifics as to whether or not the game's going to be like a base box price, a subscription, if it'll be free to play. We don't know for sure. We do, however, know that it's being made by NCSoft, so we can expect microtransactions. This is just something that this company has a well-established track record of, and it would be surprising if they didn't continue it with this new upcoming game. Throne and Liberty was originally set to release in 2022, but then got pushed back to 2023, and the developer has said that the game is still on track and they are aiming to release in the first half of the year. Next up on our list is Ashfall. First shown at the 2022 Tokyo Game Show, the game caught my eye initially because I'm a bit of a sucker for third-person action shooter MMOs. The game is said to be inspired by the Fallout series. It's set in this post-apocalyptic world, but with a unique twist as it leans more into an Eastern aesthetic, which I do think is interesting. We don't have many Eastern-inspired post-apocalyptic games. It's a cool idea for a setting. You know, I really liked the art that they showed, the concept art. It was really cool. Some interesting looking areas and environments and post-apocalyptic locations. And on top of that, the game's music was said to be co-produced by Hans Zimmer, a very prolific composer known for some incredible scores. Lots of good stuff lined up. I liked the setting, the theme, the premise, good concepts, but unfortunately, that was where the good seemed to stop, because once I took a look at the gameplay premiere trailer, I was left very underwhelmed. Gameplay just looks bad. Basic, bland, really rough all around. And then you've got really stiff animations, really low res looking textures, and overall fidelity. With every new cut as I continue to watch the trailer, my level of interest progressively dropped, which was a real shame because yes, I like the premise. I enjoy the genre, the setting, but at least for first impressions of the actual game part of Ashfall, it was very poor. Now, further digging into the game revealed to me that it will be coming to both PC and mobile, which pretty much explains all of it. It's a bit of a bummer, but I just wanted to put it on the list nevertheless. And honestly, who knows? Maybe they turn things around. Maybe they polish up the PC port. But as of now, from what we've seen, it really just looks like a mobile first game that also happens to be coming to PC. For me, that is a no thanks. If you are interested, however, Ashfall does look to be releasing Q3 of 2023. And along those same lines, let's talk about Odin Valhalla Rising. This is this Norse-inspired action MMO from Kakao Games. The early trailer had me excited. It looked cool, but then I realized that this is an autoplay game being made for phones that's coming to PC. Again, real shame, because I love the setting and I loved the early look. Now, I did hear that the autoplay part of this game could be removed, or at least would be an option for playing on PC, but it still seems clear to me that this is a mobile game targeted at that demographic and at that platform. And the sort of gameplay restrictions that this tend to impose on this genre in particular, on MMOs, mean it's probably not going to be something that I will enjoy, but just like Ashfall, I would be happy to be surprised. So those are the games that, as far as we know, will be coming out in 2023. Now, the next games we'll talk about are not officially confirmed to release in 2023 as of right now.
Good chunk of the video, about 15 minutes essentially.
Form, whether that is early access, alpha, or beta testing. Dune Awakening. This was first revealed at Gamescom earlier in the year. It is an MMO. Open world survival MMO from Funcom. This developer is best known for their multiplayer survival game Conan Exiles. They also have a long history with MMOs, including Anarchy Online back in 2001 and Age of Conan in 2008. Now, with Dune Awakening, it appears like their plan is to combine their past experiences, making an MMO that is also a survival game. During the recent Game Awards, they released a pre-alpha teaser showing some in-engine footage, which I think actually looks pretty decent considering the type of game that they're making. And with this came an update to their website, which paints a pretty clear picture of what we can expect. So they say that Dune Awakening will have the social interactivity of large-scale persistent multiplayer games, while also creating a unique and ambitious survival MMO in a vast and seamless world shared by thousands of players. You'll engage in third-person combat, from small-scale engagements to massive battles, with this fast-paced interplay between infantry, ground, and flying vehicles, which reminds me a heck of a lot of PlanetSide, or I guess you could look at games like Battlefield. That's a cool idea for a survival MMO set in the Dune universe. I should also mention here that with that pre-alpha teaser, we saw a lot of characters walking around with range weapons, so it seems pretty clear here that this will not be a melee-focused game. I saw some early thoughts that might be the case because it's set in the Dune universe, but no. Much like their previous title, you're going to be able to make your own base, choosing each building piece from a range of styles. As you're exploring the deserts, you'll have to raise these temporary outposts to protect yourself, which sounds like we'll just be making small camps as we move through the world, dealing with storms as well as the sandworms. There will be a crafting system with weapons, armor, vehicles, attachments, mods, etc. Survival mechanics specifically focused around thirst. There's going to be a guild system, and guilds will compete for economic dominance by controlling valuable resources, and massive storms are said to be regularly altering the landscape, uncovering new secrets from resources to crashed ships and ancient testing stations. And then once the dust settles, players will have to compete, scouting out for the fresh new land and uncovering its resources. Right now, what we've seen is mostly focused on the marketing. We haven't really seen much concrete in-action gameplay, although that pre-alpha trailer did give a good look at the engine and how the game will look as far as we know. And I actually like what I'm seeing here. I was actually really surprised by that in-engine footage, because I think it looks pretty solid for what they're saying is a survival MMO with crafting and thousands of players. Now, I don't know if that thousands of players is per server, or if they're just going to be doing phasing tech and they're assuming thousands of people will play, so it's a shared world with thousands of players. You'll just see them come in and out of existence. We're not sure about specifics as of yet, but after that Game Awards trailer, I'm a lot more interested in what they're going to deliver with this game. I think it's looking pretty cool. As of now, they have not announced a 2023 release window. It's still up in the air. However, beta signups are currently available on the website, and it does seem like the game will be playable this year, but just just don't expect a full release. And I will say it's worth noting as well that their prior game, Conan Exiles, started out as an early access release, so it seems entirely plausible that Dune Awakening launches into early access and then just gets updates until like a full release. The next Destiny killer might be playable in 2023. Of course, I'm talking about NCSoft's Project LLL. I'm mostly joking here. It's kind of funny. This game does look like it could be good, but it's not going to be the Destiny killer, okay? Let's stop the memes, please. This is an open world third-person MMO looter shooter, second only to fantasy as my favorite MMO genre mashup. The announcement trailer for the game came out of nowhere the other month. It opened up with this character loading into a level, kind of materializing in this underground subway, and then they snuck around, they took some pop shots, they fought their way out of the subway area before emerging into a city center, at which point they really showcased a lot of combat with a mix of different enemy types, environmental interactions, some different systems like these pilotable mech suits. There was a ton of action and explosions, a lot of bombastic stuff, and it all wrapped up with a cutscene of what appeared to be the start of a boss fight against some like interdimensional monstrosity with 1,000 arms or something. And what I liked about this early trailer were a few things. I really enjoyed the visuals and the design, this futuristic sci-fi setting, lots of really cool tech on display, a cool atmosphere, flashy set pieces. I thought the general presentation of the world was cool, and the gunplay appeared solid at first glance. You can only tell so much from a trailer, but it all looked and sounded really impactful with good animation design to the hits, the explosions, and the various other effects. It seemed like it might be pretty good. So some pretty cool stuff, and I like what I saw of that trailer. There are some early concerns though. For one, performance was abysmal in the gameplay sections. Frame rate totally tanked during any of the combat sequences. There was also some really stiff looking animations, some pretty clunky stuff here. Character movement in particular I thought looked bad, and the trailer seemed quite clearly like it was a vertical slice and didn't actually showcase any of the open world they're talking about the game having. But likely the biggest concern for many, and for me as well, is that it's being developed by NCSoft, and like I mentioned with one of the prior games here, that's always something you should be skeptical of. Anything that they're selling, they've made some really fun games,
transactions up the wazoo,
to lean heavily into pay-to-win monetization with anything that they develop in-house. Project LLL is targeting a 2024 release date, but they have said that they plan to run some beta tests prior, and that may very well start happening sometime mid to late 2023. Corepunk is yet another MMO that was originally planned to release in 2022. However, due to the conflict happening in the developer's home country, quite understandably, plans changed.
Oh, Ukraine?
And of course, here's hoping that everyone at the studio, their friends and family, have managed and continue to manage to stay safe. Now, as to the game, Corepunk, well, this is a top-down MMO that is kind of more MOBA than ARPG. You've got mouse-click movement, a relatively slow pace of combat with skill shots that need to be aimed, and a class system that has you selecting from a roster of heroes instead of making your own character and class like most other MMOs. Basically, every hero will have multiple specializations you can choose from, and those each come with a set of predetermined abilities, but you're not picking a class, you're not making a character, you're selecting from a set pre-designated list. Now, looking at the raw gameplay, you would not be blamed for thinking that this was in fact a MOBA, but no, it really is an MMO. You're gonna make your way through an open world, slaying camps of enemies, completing quests, visiting towns and cities with various NPCs, vendors, and other players. They've got the standard checklist of MMO activities like PvE dungeons and raids, arenas, battlegrounds, and open world PvP. Another thing that Corepunk does a little differently from typical MMO stuff is that gear is purely cosmetic and does not have any effect on power. Instead, the power of your hero and your progression basically comes from artifacts. These will change your abilities, giving you access to new powers and boosting your stats. And then that, along with additional customization that comes from leveling up and selecting from multiple different playstyle focused skill trees that are available in the game. I do really like this mix of MOBA and MMO that they're going for. It is one of the things about Corepunk that first caught my attention. They've got so many systems that are usually reserved for MOBAs that I think make sense and are fitting into this big open world experience that mixes PvE and PvP content. I think it could be really interesting.
I think
honestly.
I think this will be interesting because MOBAs, like a lot of the MOBA stuff, there's plenty of PvP in MOBAs that can actually work in an MMO environment too. That makes sense. That's like a cross in two genres. I think that makes a lot of sense. MOBAs and MMOs. Let's see how it works in like an open world though. That's the only thing.
Happen already sometime earlier in 2022, but again, with everything that's going on, the developer did have to postpone, and at this point it's just kind of hard to tell when this game will release. I originally thought we would have played it by now. With all these disruptions, it's really hard to tell. Of course, I wish the best for the development team and just primarily hope that they all stay safe, and I'll just look forward to playing this game whenever it is eventually finished. Next on the list is one that I'm personally very excited for, Soulframe, an upcoming open world action combat fantasy themed MMO from Warframe developer Digital Extremes.
Warframe's fun, man.
The game in July, and there have been a few updates since. Now, immediately I was just interested because of some really cool ideas and ways they're looking to diverge from Warframe. Be it a slower pace, more melee and magic focused combat, a full-on open world with procedural dungeon system, and even the fact that they're labeling this an MMO, which they haven't for Warframe, is enough to pique my interest. Now, from the reveal trailer and various developer updates, we have learned that the game has been in development for about a year. They describe the announcement trailer that they came out with as more of a tone piece for the game. This will be set in a fantasy magic infused world that's focused on themes of nature and draws heavy inspirations from the likes of Princess Mononoke and the Never-Ending Story. Now, what do we know about the game and its gameplay? Well, they've focused on a few things, mainly that they consider Soulframe a sister project and almost an inverse of Warframe. So for instance, there are some similarities.
That's interesting.
Both games make use of procedural generation for parts of the game. Both are running on the same engine. They will be repurposing some of the same ideas and technology, and they are both multiplayer focused. However, as for differences, where Warframe is sci-fi, Soulframe is fantasy. Where Warframe is focused on shooting, Soulframe is focused on melee and magic. Warframe is like fast-paced and crazy. Soulframe will be slow and heavy. Warframe is a lobby-based multiplayer. Soulframe is open world MMO. So we haven't seen any actual gameplay as of yet, although we've got a few sneak peeks of some in development work. This came from like environmental shots of test levels. We've seen some animation technology as well, all of which I thought was looking pretty neat. Some other information that we do know about the game: we know it will be free to play similar to Warframe. They are calling this a hybrid MMO. It's going to have a way different pacing than Warframe does, and it's going to be focused mostly on cooperative PvE. So since the initial reveal of Soulframe, we got a few developer updates. This was mostly showing off concept art and sound design. There wasn't a lot of new information. I am quite excited for this one. I think mainly just it comes down to Digital Extremes and the fact that they have a great track record of supporting Warframe over these past 10 years with regular updates. Although bear in mind, yes, with Soulframe, we will be navigating the minefield of free-to-play MMOs, and it seems very likely that they will monetize this much in the same way they do with Warframe, because why not? It's been successful for them with that game. That aside, I am really interested. I like the idea of a slower paced, fantasy focused, open world MMO version of what they've done with Warframe. Now, they have said that they've got a super ambitious title and are hoping to have people playing Soulframe within the year. So we're going to assume that this is like a very early alpha or some version of Steam Early Access, a very stripped down basic version of the game. But yes, it is going to be playable by at least some people in 2023. Crimson Desert is an upcoming open world action MMORPG. Or is it? The game is being developed by Pearl Abyss, creators of one of the more successful yet controversial currently existing MMOs, Black Desert Online. Now, Crimson Desert was first revealed in 2019 and was said at the time to be a spin-off born of a desire to tell the story of Black Desert's past. Basically, it was set to be a prequel to BDO, and it was announced as Pearl Abyss's next major MMO. After this reveal, they went dark for a while, but then broke the silence in December 2020, releasing a 5-minute gameplay trailer at the Game Awards, which looked pretty cool, but there was a noticeable difference. There was no mention at all of the game being an MMO. They then, shortly after in interviews, confirmed that yes, it is no longer an MMO, but rather a single player RPG that will have some multiplayer elements. And that remained the case until last month, November of 2022, where Pearl Abyss seemed to confirm via this live stream that the game was an MMO again. It was labeled when they were talking about their upcoming game as an MMO, but it actually wasn't, because turns out that was a mistake. They confirmed via the comment section that this happened to be old source material that they accidentally published at their recent live stream. So Crimson Desert is still, in fact, not an MMO. It's the prequel successor to BDO, predecessor to BDO, next big MMO from Pearl Abyss. No, never mind. It's not an MMO. It's a single player game that has multiplayer elements. Here's a new live stream where we call it an MMO, but then we have to correct ourselves in the comment section. Oops, sorry guys. We meant, like, what? It's all just very strange. Regardless, though, Crimson Desert is a game that as of now is scheduled to release in 2023. It's probably not going to be an MMO, but I still want to put it on this list just in case they change genres or they change their mind again. I don't know. Okay, next up, we've got some games that might possibly release or be playable in 2023. But I wouldn't hold your breath. First up is Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, the Kickstarter game that started all the way back in February 2014 and somehow has still not released or been playable in any major form. They've had some early access and hands-on impression and press events, and I'm pretty sure I played this game at one point at a certain event with some other YouTubers, but I'm actually not certain. Like, my memory isn't holding up here. But anyways, the developers are fairly active on the Discord and Twitter. There seems to be a lot of internal testing going on and stuff behind the scenes. However, even today, the game is still looking in a very rough state. It's been many, many years. We're coming up on 10 years or so, and it looks actually 10 years old in terms of like a lot of its graphics, animations, and the gameplay. It just all feels very dated. Now, I know that's supposed to be like a big selling point of Pantheon. This is supposed to be a game that harkens back to the golden age of MMOs. And that's cool and all in theory, in spirit, but not in visuals, animations, and gameplay. But the game is not released, and it's not anywhere close to finished as far as we know. I don't expect it to be playable in 2023. Well, it might be playable, but it's almost certainly not going to officially release.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of people who really care about Pantheon, and I do appreciate the enthusiasm that a lot of the fan base
I just don't think it's ever going to come out. That's why I never invested into it.
That whenever it eventually comes
I like the
out,
old school look of it too, but it's like it's pretty outdated compared to like other games.
As always, I would be happy to be pleasantly surprised. There's also some
True.
games that I'm just so unsure of and really don't know what to make of them. These include things like Project Ragnarok, Chrono Odyssey, Into the Echo, and even Project BBQ, which for a long time was highly anticipated but seems to have gone quiet. Don't know much about these games, don't really know what's going on with them. I'm sure some people in the comments will update us if there have been any major developments with any of these games and whether or not they're going to be playable anytime soon. And then there are a few really big games, highly anticipated games, but they're probably not coming out till 2024 or beyond. I'm talking about ArcAge 2, Ashes of Creation, and Riot's Runeterra MMO. Of those, maybe ArcAge 2 gets playable at some point this year. Ashes of Creation will probably have another preview build, some version of their alpha that you can pay money to access. They'll probably do that again. And actually, all
It's
of
looking
these
good,
games
though.
I'm really looking forward to. So don't take the brevity of this section as a dismissal or a lack of interest. I am interested in each one of these. I will certainly play each one of these, and any one of these might end up being the next big MMO. I think there is potential, or at least a big MMO, and an MMO that has a chance to garner a big player base. ArcAge 2, Ashes, and Riot, all of those fit the bill. There's certainly possibilities. Of those three, I expect Riot to be the biggest. I've talked about why in the past. Mainly comes down to just the company's success with different genres, the vast amount of funding that they have, and what that could eventually mean for the size, scale, and polish of them making an MMO. That is not to be dismissive of ArcAge 2 or Ashes of Creation, and especially Ashes of Creation. A lot of the hardcore MMO fan base is super excited, and I count myself among those. But if I were to have a boxing match of Ashes of Creation versus the Riot Runeterra MMO, and the winner was determined by which would be the biggest in terms of player base, in terms of game and content and scale and polish, Riot would be a like one-punch knockout. And
just because of the money, there's too much money involved with like
There's
Riot.
a couple of sort of MMOs that are on the horizon that I am tentatively interested in, but not sure about. They're more social-focused MMOs and exploration MMOs. I'm talking about Palia and Bitcraft. We don't really know a ton about either of these games, but they have talked about some pretty cool ideas. They just don't really fall in the traditional MMORPG wheelhouse, which a lot of the prior games do. Then there's a few in development games that we know exist and we know are being made, but haven't been officially announced. First, there is Blizzard's survival MMO. There's the level of hype cannot be understated. I know Blizzard, yes, blah blah blah. They just suck. Yes, I know Blizzard, right?
It's so Blizzard.
But they still make games that I've enjoyed playing even today, and I'm highly anticipating Diablo 4. I've heard nothing but good things about World of Warcraft's recent expansion. I haven't had time to jump in. I've been really busy lately. I got a new setup here, as you know. That is because I have a new office setup that's currently in the works. But point is, all the Blizzard dogpiling we want to do, and all of the well-deserved Blizzard dogpiling, all of the self-inflicted, the monetization, the bad work culture, all of the lawsuits, everything that's going on. And also, there's something we talked about not too long ago, and that is the fact that Sony has a Horizon MMO in development of some sorts, possibly multiple Horizon multiplayer games of some combination, whether that's like a Monster Hunter style or full-blown traditional action MMO. We don't know for sure, but yes, that is also something that is
that
in
would
the
be
works.
cool, actually.
And then outside of all of the new games, we get updates, we expect expansions and major patches, and all. It just get End of Dragons. They'll probably have some myself or. But I
don't know how long Guild Wars 2 can continue. The game's fun, don't get me wrong. It's just like so many games. More games to play. I'm not like that invested into it. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah. Future Berserk. Plum Pudding. Listen, if it's pudding, I'm down for it. Oh, man. There's so many recap channels. It's great. I love it. All right, that's it. Let's go. Let's move on to COD. Almost like two hours of just like watching videos. All right, let's go. I did click it. Yes, give it a second. It'll show up. Yep, loading up now. COD, baby. COD. Yep, we good to go. Let's slow down. Something tells me I'm gonna have to restart. Oh, nope. I don't have to restart. All right, we gotta grind out these guns. Look at that. Look how simple that was. I don't even know who this operator is. Get 5 operator kills with LMGs. Provide 3 resupplies. I don't even think I have. Ultimate. Oh. Invasion.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Let's do this.
Invasion. Hostile counter UAV overhead. Friendly UAV on station. Our UAV is orbiting the area.
Oh, crap. Up top. I see him. Shit, I don't know. I haven't gotten to really memorize all these maps. All these motherfuckers are...
Friendly mortar strike on the way.
Fuck. Yeah, that was a player. Ah, my arm hurts.
Sentry is active. Hostile cluster mine active. Pushing forward. Incoming!
Oh my god. What was that? Oh, Ooh.
Need to heal up. Friendly cruise missile approaching target.
Where was he? He was right. He was straight ahead. I couldn't get him. Holy sh! Holy shit, where? Oh. So there's a guy right across the way. I saw the dot.
Friendly UAV online. A cargo helo has entered the airspace. Our mortar strike is inbound. Friendly counter UAV is on station. Friendly cruise missile deployed. Bomb drone deployed. Enemy here. Enemy down. Hostile cruise missile incoming. Friendly wheels rolling in. Reloading. Friendly UAV on station. Hostile SAE incoming. Hostile cruise missile launched. Over halfway to mission complete. Friendly heavy armor inbound to the AO. Friendly cruise missile inbound. Friendly SAE on the way. Enemy UAV active.
Oh, up top on the roof. I should have checked the roof. Always check the roof. Oh, fuck. Damn, I got a spawner there. Spawn sucks sometimes, man.
Hostiles launched a cruise missile. Cargo helo is inbound.
Fuck. Fucking got me. Oh my god. So much fucking chaos, dude.
Friendly UAV online. The mission is nearly complete. Keep pushing. Friendly VSO inbound. Friendly SAE inbound. Hostile cruise missile incoming.
Oh, fuck. I got that one guy, though. That one guy that was sniping. Okay. Just joined, so I didn't do anything. Yeah, I did die quite a bit. Part of the problem. Battle Rage, almost there. High velocity. Definitely need a scope on this thing. Muzzle. We'll keep the third round. Now we still don't have. That's the tech. Okay. DC-3 Hawk. Let's mute all of them now. Invasion. Let's go. All right, let's go. Negative, negative. Roger, roger.
Switching mags! Standing by. SAE standing by. Hardline online. Throwing flash grenade! Need medicine now! We're driving them back. Hunt them down. Requesting close air.
Time to fly, boys. Oh my god, somebody fucking got him. Fuck. Okay.
Effect on target.
Of course.
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
Ooh, where? Bro, I can't see anybody. Or I can't poke out. I'm gonna fucking die. Got him. Fuck. Guy directly behind her. Got him back.
En route to the AO. Good work. Keep the pressure on. Quick fix online. Friendly UAV on station.
Okay, somebody's up top.
Friendly cruise missile approaching target. UAV ready to deploy. The enemy's falling back. Don't let up. Friendly chopper gunner services target. Still ready for launch. Requesting close here. Target up. Tiger 3-1. Right on target. Enemy UAV active. Copy. UAV orbiting the AO. Recon sunlight. Switching back. UAV is being fuel. RTB at this time. Friendly VTOL on station. Reloading.
Okay, so these are just.
Friendly UAV online.
Oh,
Hostile SAE incoming.
that was stupid. I don't know what I was doing there.
Hostile cruise missile incoming. Our UAV is orbiting the area. Friendly cruise missile deployed. Friendly mortar strike inbound. Friendly UAV on station. Cargo helo is en route to the AO. Halfway to mission complete. Secure this victory.
Let's go, boys. Let's finish this.
We're advancing. Maintain pressure. Switching back.
Boom.
Our UAV is orbiting the area. Friendly SAE inbound. Shit! Enemy UAV overhead.
Oh, the tower.
Friendly cruise missile inbound.
Shh. Fuck.
Friendly UAV online.
He's there in the tower too. I was looking for him. I thought he left, but he didn't. I should have known better.
Cargo helo is inbound.
Fuck, where's... Where? Yep. Because he knows there's people up there sniping. Like me. I need to take back this point here. I'm taking this shit back, bitches. So that VTOL up there.
Hostile VTOL overhead. Hostile UAV in the area.
Got him.
Getting overrun. Fall back.
Hostile cruise missile launched.
Fucking VTOL.
The enemy has the lead. Reloading. We've lost the lead. A cargo helo has entered the airspace. The enemy has the lead.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Taken the lead. We've lost the lead.
Hostile VTOL in the area.
The lead is ours.
Requesting recon at my location. Hostile UAV in the area. Friendly Overwatch helo in the area.
The enemy has the lead.
Friendly cruise missile approaching the target. UAV is being enemy precision airstrike. Find cover. Hostile launch the cruise missile.
This guy, how'd he find me? Under all that smoke.
Hostile cruise missile incoming.
We're about to lose this fight. Push them back.
Dude, they're going off. They're just like...
Changing mags.
Oh. Fuck, man. We fucking lost at the end, dude. I was going off. They got a whole bunch of kill streaks at the end. Yeah, look at that. Got a little bit there. Okay. Weapons. I'll keep that. We'll probably get rid of that. Put in the Alright, so you got 5 out of 5. Okay. So we got the okay. Yeah, so we'll go ahead. So it's the base receiver. This. How about third person mosh? Go to the firing range real quick. So what is that, 30? Okay. Mosh pit, baby. Let's go for the Lockman. I'm liking this gun. I feel good about it. Let's go. Canadian Special Forces. Let's go. We kill you with kindness. We kill you with kindness here in good old Canada. Third person mosh pit. Let's go, baby. They actually did a pretty decent job with it too. Only played a little bit yesterday, but it's fun. Let's go. Scavenger.
Hard point. Locating the next hard point. Get ready.
What do you get me with? The bell?
Capture the hard point. Enemy UAV active. Hostile UAV in the area.
From behind, wow.
Requesting recon flyover.
And I'm aiming down sights too.
Hostile airstrike incoming.
Wow. Did he hear me? Oh, he's just literally just waiting there.
Active. Confirming next hard point. Stand by.
Right behind you, mate.
Target area updated. Move to the hard point. Enemy UAV overhead. Hostile VSOL in the area.
Oh my god. Shit, dude.
Strike on the way. Hard point relocated. Stand by.
I'm. Oh shit.
Mission failed. Return to base.
Yeah, it was literally like that was only me and another guy for most of the match. Look at that. They were stomping them probably, and people just kept kind of quitting. I think, third person. Okay, so okay. All right, hold on. How to filter quick play list in COD Warfare 2, because you could do it. So how do you do it?
In your quick play, and all you have to do is select filter. So you see this filter button right?
So you got filter team deathmatch. Okay, here we go. I don't know why they changed it. Kill confirmed is fine. You're at headquarters. Prisoner Rescue is actually pretty fun. Get rid of this. Okay, there you go. Yeah, this I said yesterday too, and this is like even truer today. Like this is clearly there's like some I feel like there's like mobile elements here that they kind of just like put it over this skin here too, but they need to like change it. I don't care if they have Call of Duty Mobile. People want to play that game, that's fine. They gotta make their money, but like for the console gamers and the PC gamers, you need to make it friendly for us here on these platforms. All right, I don't want to play with people who are playing on their fucking phone. It's stupid to me, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, everybody else is playing on these fucking on a controller, man.
Team deathmatch.
Fuck. Yeah, I gotta grind this out. Nothing you can do here.
Switching mags.
Fuck.
Taking fire! Friendly contact!
Come on, man.
UAV on station.
What is this? M13. These guys all...
Got your back.
I don't like the progression system. I don't understand like time progression to like other guns. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Watching your six, soldier!
Oh, there's a bunch of them in there.
Grenade! Stun incoming! Throwing flash grenade!
Dude, this is like so frustrating, dude. Like everybody's been playing this game longer. Like, yeah, I gotta shoot him in the back. Fuck it, I don't even care.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Aiming down sights the entire time. Yeah, and we're not.
Hardline online.
Throwing subtext! Changing mag!
Yeah, there's like a bunch of them.
Barely hanging on.
Come on, dude. I want to be able to unlock. No offense. Hey, Activision Blizzard or like Ravenware, like whoever fucking like actually put this game together. Like, I don't know why you tied the progression system for like a gun into like to like other guns. I want to use the guns that I want to use, and if I don't want to use a gun, I don't want to use a gun. I think this is stupid. I have to like use another gun to be able to unlock like an optic for this gun. That's so fucking stupid to me. We're not that far back.
Loading!
Where?
Hostile cluster mine deployed. Enemy UAV overhead.
Really?
Our UAV is orbiting the area.
Come on, man. Really? Come on. Yeah, I need to really use this map.
Quick fix online.
No, go this way. Fuck.
Got targets. Weapons hot.
Watch it! Throwing grenade!
Fuck me, they all came around. Oh, dude, come on, man. Fuck. And the other guy was right there too.
Changing mags! Throwing flash grenade!
Oh, fuck. Fuck. Just saw him too. Just haven't figured it out yet. Oh, fuck. What? Where was it? Was he just like... Was he following me? Or was he like actually behind me? How is his time to kill so quick with that gun? Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Fuck that shit. I'm taking him out, man.
Hostiles launched an SAE. Enemy UAV overhead.
Incoming!
Ooh.
Bag out! Switching mags! Changing mag!
Ooh. I saw the last possible second. Use.
My location.
Shit. I couldn't keep it straight. Yeah. You essentially have to like completely like get the gun to the point where like there's no recoil whatsoever.
I'm on your 6.
Be advised, UAV is exiting the AO.
Oh shit.
Friendly UAV.
Get him! Get him! Oh shit! I should have been paying. I should have went around the back.
Our UAV is all in the area.
They're shooting at me.
Hostile care package deployed.
It wasn't that bad. We were coming back. We were able to figure it out. Yeah, I didn't do that great. Was this the final kill? These motherfuckers putting like proximity mines and fucking claymores everywhere. Yeah, 25 deaths, that's way too much. Gotta protect that KD, man. The RAL, MG, and light machine gun. Yeah, I don't care about that. Let's go. Give me that. I still don't have fucking optic. Level 4 was level 2.
I'm still that nigga. I'm still that nigga.
Alright, good for you for whoever was talking. Free for all. This is Breamber Hotel. Okay. Damn, man. It's getting fucking destroyed here. Need a token. Okay. Alright, this is free for all. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, what, 8 of us? 9 of us in here?
Free for all.
Got first blood. Let's take the high ground. Got it. Fuck, he got me.
Hardline activated.
Yo, my guy, what's up?
Standing by.
Shit, I just heard him. The minute he put his step out there, I just heard him. Fuck. Oh, he was doing something funny.
Quick fix activated.
Shit. Yes. Son of a bitch. I was getting cross shot too.
Hostile UAV in the area.
You're closing on the lead.
And guy up top there too. I saw both of them in the corner. I was like, I'm gonna get fucked here. Okay, sorry about that, folks. That was my mom calling. Fuck, he got a good shot on me, too.
We're losing ground.
Oh, I see. Oh, ah!
Mission accomplished. Lucky
Damn.
job.
There was like no way I can catch up to Stokely. He was like going insane. Well, that tack, man. That tack is ridiculous, dude. Yeah, that's 17 deaths. Look at that. What was it? That's okay. Almost there. Shotgun felt good too, man. You just gotta keep going. Okay, let's go. Gunsmith. Lackman sub to level. See, I don't like this. This doesn't make level 4, the mini. See? Why are you tying these optics to like other guns? People use the other guns. Come on. See, I don't even think I got anything there. We got the expedite. $37 on the right shield. Kind of like having STB 556. Get the good old-fashioned M16 battle rifle. Assault rifle, pardon me. Cast off, Chimera, which is, these are the AKs, aren't they? Yeah. Were they not allowed to use the AK name anymore? Oh, yeah. Get 2 operator kills. Yeah, that's easy enough. That's like 1 play session. And then the M13. Oh my god. Okay. So, Rangers 1. Chewy. Citizenship Mexico, language Spanish. Spec grew, status is active. Background: Jesus Ordaz learned how to adapt and survive earlier than most, beginning his career as a soldier at just 7 years old. He was forced to work as a pajero, bird of lookout for the La Arania cartel. This was how he learned 2 of the most important skills in his life: keeping his eyes open and himself invisible. At 17, Jesus escaped the cartel. Okay. Jesus and joined the military, vowing to root out and eliminate corruption. He quickly applied for special forces. His skills caught the eye of Alejandro Vargas, then a second captain, who encouraged him to apply for the Cuerpo de Fuerzas Especiales. Passing selection for the organization, Red Team, and given the name Chewy. His first operation was a raid to kill captured the son of La Arania himself. During the operation, members of the Red Team turned against their own, allowing the target to escape. Betrayed by his new brotherhood, which established a new cartel in place of La Aranias, Chewy left the special forces. He now uses skills to train local populations. That's it? Train local population. Okay. Gus, Costa Rica. In Spanish, Spec grew active. Gustavo Rodriguez comes from Paradise. Has strengthened his skills. There's clearly more text here, but I don't know. There's clearly more text here. There's supposed to be more text here, but we'll see what happens. Alright, Kingdom. Okay. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I've been like these guys for like the longest time. This is Santa Claus, babe. Execute a finishing move. Okay. DMZ. Alright, folks, I'm tired. I'm gonna end the stream. This is a short ass stream. I'll probably play again sometime later today. I appreciate everybody joining me today. Hope you have a great holiday. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate. And until next time, stay toasty, touch grass, and God speed. See you next time, folks.